Councilman Guarini.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Guzzo. Councilwoman Miller.
Here.
Councilman Muscarella.
Yeah. I'm now going to ask Councilman Muscarella to lead through the pledge of allegiance.
Please stand, hand over your heart. That's all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, please call the first public hearing.
We have the petition of the Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the open foundation and detached garage and to remove all litter and debris from property located in Lawrence.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? I do not have a slip on item number 1. Does any member of the public who did not sign in wish to be heard on item number 1? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Cleveland.
Aye.
Councilman Guarini.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Guzzo. Aye. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a petition of the Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the two-story high ranch wood frame one-family dwelling with attached garage and to remove all litter and debris from a property located in Oceanside.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay, I do have a slip on this. I have Ms. Chower from Oceanside or Mr. Chower from Oceanside? How you doing? If you just go to the back mic and give your name and address, that'd be awesome. Thanks. Right there in the back. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate the board considering the motion. This is a blight on our community. We have a whole row of neighbors who lived at the area on Miranda Street and Wider Avenue. It's been over 30 years since this property sat there post-Sandy. It's a danger to the community, not only the building itself, but raccoons and wild animals. And it's a shame that these folks have waited almost 30 years for this type of action to finally come through. We eagerly request and hope that you will approve the motion and have this demolished as soon as possible so they can wake up and have pride on the street they live in and hopefully see a new foundation and home go up soon. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks for taking the time to come. I don't have any other slips on item number 2. Does anybody else wish to be heard? Then I will actually just ask for a motion.
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Supervisor Cleveland.
Aye.
Councilman Guarini.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Guzzo. Aye. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. You know, for any of the residents who just came from outside, Danny, could you identify yourself? No, raise your hand. Wait. No, not you. No. The deputy commissioner. There's a deputy commissioner right there. Why don't you exchange information with him and he can give you updates as the process begins so you know about the demolition, okay? All right, thank you all very much for coming. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a petition of the Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the two-story wood frame one-family dwelling with a new two-car garage and to remove all litter and another property in Oceanside.
Okay, any member of the board wish to hear on this? We do have a slip from Mr. Steiner. Steiner? Please go to the podium in the back there, give your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Good morning, my name is Adam Steiner. I reside at 3248 Judith Lane in Oceanside. I'm the next door neighbor to the property being considered right now. I appreciate the board entertaining this motion. The building is unsafe and dangerous. It's a fire hazard and a public nuisance. How is that? Well, the town has marked this building as unsafe for over 8 years. The property has been abandoned for over 8 years. There's been flood and other damage subsequent to that. No work, structural or otherwise, has been done on the building. The building is also a public nuisance. Birds and other animals are consistently going in and out. The door locks are regularly broken. On the porch or the deck in the backyard is regularly used for storage by people for cans and bottles that they're collecting. On the block, we have many young children who are constantly running back and forth in front of the house, up towards our house, to the neighbor on the other side as well. Squatters have used the property in the past, and it is a fire hazard as well. The grass is rarely cut. Garbage that gets blown into the yard is rarely picked up unless somebody else goes to get it. So we request that the town pass the motion and move forward with demolishing the house. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for taking the time to come. I don't have any other slips on item number 3. Does anybody not sign in, wish to be heard on item number 3? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second motion.
Supervisor Clayton?
Aye.
Councilman Creedy?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Mascarelli?
So, Danny, get to wave your hand again, okay? Just I want to, same line, why don't you just kind of communicate so I can give you the timetable when stuff's getting done, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Woodmere.
Okay. Any member of the board wish to be heard about this? Okay, I don't have any slips on item number 4. Any member of the public who wishes to be heard on item number 4 did not sign in? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton?
Aye.
Councilman Creedy?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Mascarelli?
Aye.
All right, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Baldwin, Belrose Terrace, Franklin Square, near Island Park, Merrick, Wantagh, West Hempstead, and Woodmere.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay, I don't have any slips on item number 5. Anybody want to be heard on item number 5 that did not sign in? Trick me. All right, if not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second motion.
Supervisor Clayton?
Aye.
Councilman Creedy?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller? Councilman Mascarelli?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Levittown, near Lindbergh, Seaford, and near Valley Street.
Any member of the board wish to be heard on this? I don't have any slips on item number 6. Anybody wants to be heard on item number 6 that did not sign in? May I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Supervisor Clayton?
Aye.
Councilman Creedy?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Mascarelli?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding traffic regulations in the vicinity of schools in Franklin Square and Wantagh.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? I don't have any slips on item number 7. Anybody wish to be heard on item number 7 that did not sign in? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item. Second.
Supervisor Clayton?
Aye.
Councilman Creedy?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Mascarelli?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding bus stops in Wantagh.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Don't have any slips on item number 8. Anybody want to be heard on item number 8 that did not sign in? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton? Councilman Creedy?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Mascarelli?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed handicap parking on public streets in Belmore, Elmont, Inwood, Oceanside, Roosevelt, Uniondale, and West Hempstead.
Madam Clerk, please, hold on. Any member of the board wish to be heard? I don't have any slips on item number 9. Anybody inside in wishes to be heard on item number 9? If you would please give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Good morning, Nita J. Maraday, resident of the world, advocate for the underserved. With regard to this item, I had spoken before with regard to the handicap parking. I understand the justification. I brought up the fact that there are a number of roads in the township that are in disrepair, so I just want to note for the record that East Centennial Avenue in Roosevelt, the little hamlet that I don't know if it's been cracked or capped, that is one of the roads in the township that is in disrepair and requires some attention. So that's pretty much what I needed to say about that. Thank you. I'm saving myself for later.
Okay, that's great. Anybody else who wishes to be heard on actually item number 9? Okay, if not, may I please have a motion?
I move that we pass the motion.
Get a second.
Supervisor Clayton?
Aye.
Councilman Creedy?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Mascarelli?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
give the application of Maclex LLC to include the properties 576 and 576A Uniondale Avenue into the GSS district in Uniondale.
Your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good morning. For the applicant, Matthew Lindbergh from the law firm with Brown, Altman, and DeLeo, 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301, Melville, New York. I'm here today for the application of Maclex LLC that seeks to develop the former gasoline station and now vacant property at 576 and 576A Uniondale Avenue in Uniondale with a new gas station with 8 fueling positions, a 2,522 square foot convenience store with ADA compliant restroom, and associated site and landscaping improvements. Specifically, the applicant seeks the following relief from this board: to include the property in the GSS district, site plan approval, as well as area and sign variances. As a matter of housekeeping, the public mailing and posting for this hearing were performed in accordance with the town code and were submitted to the town clerk on February 3rd, 2023. With me today is Chris Tartaglia, PE of High Point Engineering, who is available to address any questions that this board or the public may have. Prior to today's hearing, the applicant submitted the following documents in support of the application: a petition in support of the request to include the property in the GSS district, a narrative in support of the variance requests, a color site plan rendering prepared by High Point Engineering dated January 21st of 2023, an aerial plan also prepared by High Point Engineering dated January 20th of this year, as well as a color 3D rendering showing the property as improved with a new gas station, convenience store, and landscaping. Can we change the screen to the color 3D rendering? As a brief history, the property was formerly improved with a gasoline station with 4 fueling positions, and as well as a 6-bay auto repair shop and accessory storage building. The former gas station fell into disrepair and has been vacant for approximately 5 years. We note that the applicant purchased the property in December 2021 and raised the existing structures at the site. Thereafter, the applicant brought this application to redevelop the property with a new gasoline station, convenience store, as well as to make much-needed landscaping improvements. So, as mentioned, the property was previously used as a gas station, and based on our review of town records, there was a gas station with auto repair station at the site beginning circa 1931. And then historically, the site has really been unattractive. There's been very little landscaping. So we note that this new site plan has been designed to maximize site circulation, vehicular safety, as well as to mitigate against any possible impacts to the residential development to the west. The site has also been designed to reduce the number of curb cuts. Just for example, currently there are 3 curb cuts on Uniondale Avenue. We're going to reduce that to 2. And there's currently 2 curb cuts on Jerusalem Avenue, and we will be reducing that to 1 curb cut. As can be seen on the color site plan drawing or on this rendering on your screen, the applicant will be installing a new PVC fencing and adding much-needed landscaping along both frontages as well as along the rear property line. So just for example, along the rear, there's going to be 27 evergreen that will grow to approximately 15 feet in height once mature. The applicant will also be adding 17 shrubs with additional landscaping along the Uniondale frontage. In addition, green space and perennials will be planted along Uniondale Avenue and Jerusalem Avenue. So with that, we have our project engineer who is available to answer any site-specific questions that the board may have or that the public may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Supervisor Arnott has a couple of initial questions.
All right. Okay, first of all, the fence is in poor condition. There's an opening in the lower right north side. A small child could climb through that. The fence itself is bent and not secured properly in many points of the perimeter. The top, a cloth that is placed on the fence, tattered and ripped in many places, that needs to be repaired, replaced with plastic slots. The vacant pump stands that are inside the right have holes that need to be covered and this should, at this time, there's absolutely nothing we can do with this except reserve decisions. You really have to get in there and you have to, this place, what you have up there is beautiful. But what we have here, the pictures that we took of the whole works looking at, and the thing about it is, there's a gas station right on the corner from you, and there's another gas station down the street. There was a gas station across the street before this, and they had to go out of business because they couldn't keep up, with the amount of, they didn't make enough money to be there. So I'm very concerned about that. You must make sure you take care of that fence immediately, and make sure that you fix it so the kids can't fall through there.
The deputy supervisor, I think, is spot on. You took possession of the property in 21, is that what you said?
Yes.
Did you guys do the demolition, or was it done prior?
The applicants, well, they did the demolition.
Okay, because like I said, I'm looking at photos that were probably taken yesterday. In fact, that clearly show, an insanely dangerous condition. Your fence is in disarray. You have what could be considered a basement trap that apparently one of your workers thought it was a great idea to put a door on, that somebody moved the door. That's an incredible hazard. The fencing and railing is all bent around the whole area, and absolutely, and I think the deputy supervisor was being kind and saying in disrepair. We have real safety concerns, that have to be addressed immediately as far as we're concerned. Am I right about that, deputy supervisor? So I think that's really some of the first hurdles you have in the whole process, is maintain the property in an orderly manner for the neighbors in the community.
And not only that, you have to remember, I know you removed those gas tanks, but there's a hole, a deep hole, and someone tried to take a door to place over some of it. There are two of them that look like that, and the way this looks, nothing like that. I mean, that's a whole different ballgame that you have up there. Because if you want to see some of these, you can come and
I think the deputy supervisor is right. I mean, it obviously, there was some underground storage when you did the tanks. And I don't know if it did work, but I don't think like a $19 door laid on top of a hole, and I'll be happy to present that from Home Depot, signifies any real concern about safety, especially since it's open. So I think, the first thing is you got to get somebody in there today and start maintaining that.
Those are just some of the pictures.
Okay, I have a question in reference to the,
Did you get the one on like the door with the doorknob that leads to a hole that's been moved?
We have it.
Yeah, okay, I don't think, I think fair enough to agree, you don't think that's rather safe, do you?
No,
Okay.
it's addressed.
Yeah.
What about the fence? We need to do that ASAP.
Yep, we will.
And you see all the garbage and so forth. I know the residents, some of the residents have not seen that, because if they had, they would have been in here like crazy, and then on you. So please, you gotta make sure you get it taken care of.
so I have a question. The board has grave concern about the condition of the property as it is. Do you have I see BP is written all over the blueprints and stuff like that. Do you have a contract with BP that would be a BP project?
I'll answer that question. Just to introduce myself, my name is Chris Tartaglia from the firm High Point Engineering. We're located in Melville. It's a good question, Councilman. So the location, ownership is actually in the room for the property, and they will be operating the facility. And so I really appreciate, first and foremost, you bringing the conditional issues to our attention, and they will be addressed immediately after this meeting. I'm going to take that up with them immediately. Thank you for calling that out to us. I passed by the site and I did notice that the fence was in disrepair, but because of the fence, I didn't go in. I assumed everything was okay inside, but clearly it's not. So we will have those hazards addressed forthwith. With regard to the operation of the facility, so just to take a step back, this board may recall that this property before our client, or right at the time our client closed on it, was before this board for a forced demolition that the town was going to take on demolishing the property. I appeared before the board, I believe it was September of 2020 or thereabouts, and we pulled permits within 2 weeks with the assistance from the building department, and that building was down within another 2 weeks. So that shows the wherewithal of the current owner, who was having issues actually closing on the property because of some title issues. But he took it upon himself to do that demolition immediately. That was 1.5 years ago approximately, so indeed there have been some conditional issues with people breaking down the fence, and I just want to reiterate that those will be addressed. And as far as the new facility, folks, we're looking at a $2 to $3 million investment here on the owner's part. This is not a fly-by-night operation. The fact that some other gas stations might have failed or gone under is probably because they were very outdated. It's very expensive to keep up with the environmental regulations and all the other costs of doing business in Nassau County, quite frankly. So this is not an investment that should be taken lightly, and it's certainly not. And the owner will absolutely protect that investment by maintaining this facility in the condition that you see here. It's going to be a beautiful beacon, honestly, within the center of this community, we believe. Thank you. I hope that answered the question, sir.
Chris, while we're up here, so I see that you want to have a convenience store. Is that going to be a 24-hour convenience store?
Yes.
And you're going to have how many employees there?
We're looking at a maximum of 3.
Okay, so how many parking spots do you have? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
Correct.
So are your employees going to park in the 3 spots?
So what we find, honestly, Mr. Supervisor, is that, these are, generally speaking, minimum wage jobs, so we tend to draw folks from the community that are local. A lot of times those people will either take mass transit or walk or bike ride to the site. However, there were 7 parking stalls. We've done studies at these facilities previously, as you know, I've been before this board many times on gas stations, and we find that, especially in a smaller facility like this, people tend to use the pump islands. The customers tend to park at the pump islands and come in. So we're thinking of those 3 employees, perhaps 1 to 2 will park at the property. 1 will probably be a walker or use mass transit. We never find on any of these locations that we've got a deficiency in parking. Typically, we find that most of the time, even in the busy hours, the parking stalls are predominantly empty. 3 or 4 are typically what's used.
Now, I'm looking at, I guess, your blueprint with one hand, and I'm looking at your rendering with another. And I'm looking, I'll point it down on the eastern portion of it. And I think I've matched them up pretty good here. On the eastern portion, below your pumps, abutting Uniondale Avenue, on your rendering, if you go, see on that one, you got your canopy and then you got the road. And I just got to clarify, but on your rendering, you have like a divider, like with some, yeah, see that one there? See right where that thing is? It looks like a divider with planted. Is that, maybe I'm not seeing it in the blueprint. Is that in the blueprint? That right there.
Yeah, so you're talking about the planted area?
Yeah.
Curb cuts. Yeah, so if you could go back to the 3D rendering on the screen. Not the 3D, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the other one, right. I'm just trying to match it up on because I see this on your, on this one, see, I see the sidewalk, and then I see a sidewalk.
See the brown area?
That little area right there?
Right.
That's gonna look like the picture?
Well, so, by way of explanation, and you have very sharp eyes, Mr. Supervisor, so we've been working with the county DPW vigorously to get this project approved. As you know, that DPW takes much longer than the town in these instances when on county roadways.
Condolences.
Well, one of the issues that they had requested is that we provide a passing lane around the outer edge of the pump island so that we can alleviate any traffic or backups at the curb cuts. So that did pinch that a little bit, but we are going to put, it's 2 feet wide on one end and it diminishes to 6 inches on the other. There will be a barrier.
Like I said, the residents, they hate this place, rightfully so. The place is for us, and like I said, they want to be done. But I just want to make sure when it looks nice here, it's going to look nice here. So if you can give us an updated version of what it's really going to look at, so we can make sure we keep everybody in the loop on it, that would be appreciated. And I do recognize DPW wants their walking lane there, but I just want to make sure the renderings, reflective of it. In addition, now I know you're abutting some commercial property there. I do know that there are a couple of residences back there. I know that in particular on the west-north side. Have you spoke to all those neighbors back there?
Have you met with them at all? Because that's normally what we do.
No.
You met with him?
been any discussions with the residents. We are providing, where there is none today, we are providing, as Mr. Ingber indicated, significant landscaping and fencing, which they've never enjoyed before. So in terms of the conditions now and the conditions when this is done,
But
again,
still,
it's not even in comparison.
it's one of the things that we like to do whenever something new is coming into the neighborhood. I do to call a meeting with the residents so they themselves can see and be aware of what you're doing. Now, the other thing that's bothering me is Uniondale is a one-way street. You know, you'll be coming, if you're coming in, you're gonna come, that's one way. And also, the same thing with Jerusalem. Jerusalem Avenue is also one way. So how does the traffic get through to you? And if it's built up, what do you do about that? If there's a buildup, how do they get out? I guess they have to go out through Jerusalem Avenue. Is that what they go out so they can't come in through Jerusalem Avenue? You know, because it's right there on the corner, and you see there's traffic lights there, and you really get a ticket all the time.
So I guess respectfully, there are two-way curb cuts. We have right-in, right-out restrictions by the DPW, which is common, so there won't be any left turns made. That tends to, when you're making a right turn out, that tends to alleviate the condition of cars stacking at the curb cuts. But just by way of looking at the plan, so Uniondale Avenue, both of those curb cuts will be right-in, right-out only. So there's free access there. And then if they want to head on to Jerusalem Avenue, there's also right-in, right-out there as well. So this plan has been heavily scrutinized over the last year plus with the DPW in our office, and we believe we've got a very good plan here. The DPW has approved access.
I understand that, and I get what the deputy supervisor is saying in particular about, and I know you're saying nobody's going to make a left-hand turn. I understand that you're saying that. You're going to put a signage, of course, in the area saying no left-hand turns, because coming across Uniondale Avenue, which forks off to a left-hand turn and signal, I mean, you definitely don't want any blockage going that. So you're going to put up like extra signage telling people no left turn?
Absolutely. The DPW, I think, has us stalling somewhere around 15 to 20 signs directional.
Even better.
That's what we can do.
Hold on, before we go, I know there are a number of, before we make residents want to card in. So if you kind of hang out there, we'll some of the residents have to go. We'll start with Pearl Jacob.
And I'd like my photo back, please. Pictures, one of that.
Ms. Jacobs, just give your name and address to the record.
Hello, Jacobs, Uniondale. I just have one question for and to stop my clock and ask the question, please. This location, the beautification, will it be maintained? Landscaping, will it be maintained? I'm talking to the people, the developers. Please stop running my clock.
Ms. Jacobs, you don't have to deal with it. We're going to stop the clock here.
Now, you
Hold on,
can
if the clock was stopped, just enough.
No, but
no, it wasn't. So I think the question was presented and the attorney for the developer wanted to, if you're going to do the beautification, you're going to have some commitment to maintaining the landscape in the communities. Are you going to? Yes? Yeah. Okay.
and what sort of convenience store would it be? Stop my clock. He's asking my question. What the name of it? Is it a bowler or what is it? It's not a bowler. What is it?
Ms. Jacobs, we're trying to do, why don't you identify what kind of store it's going to be? If you could just go up to the mic, so Ms. Jacobs and any of the neighbors can hear you, that would be great. I think this gentleman's coming up. If you'll identify yourself, that'd be awesome.
So the name on the sign is proposed to be a Zippy Mart, which is a new addition to the community. One of the things I did want to add is that with that use, they are proposing a very high quality coffee and small food offering. It's not going to be like any of the recognized fast food brand, but it is going to be a sort of a higher end, if you will, coffee, Danish, and small breakfast sandwich offering, which is something that we really don't see anywhere in the community, and we think there's a real need for it.
Okay, as president of North Bond Civic Association, who advocates very strongly for Uniondale, I have no opposition to this this development, and I do not agree with the reserve decision on this development. I'm so happy that you're paying attention to Unionville now. How many years there was a Great Fair there? And it took almost 3 years to remove that Great Fair. It was a potential brownfield site. I have approximately 30, 40 correspondence back and forth with the buildings department regarding that brownfield site, that potential brownfield site, to remove and tear down that building. It took 3 years for the town to do something with that site and demolish it. Okay, so I'm so happy that you have some sort of concern about it now. This is not an issue, as long as they, you know, bring beautification and do right by the community. I have no issue with that. Regarding the fencing that you spoke about, Councilwoman Gooseby, the white fencing, it had no fence there before. A fence became there because I emailed back and forth the buildings department to have them put a fence there because children were riding their bikes and the islands where they had taken the gas pumps had jagged edges sticking. And it was a dangerous situation, so I called, emailed. I can give you all of the emails. I have approximately 40 emails, okay? So for you to sit here and say that this is a concern and you're going to preserve decision, I think that's the height of hypocrisy. We need to move forward with this. It's a languishing, it has languished for many, many years. It doesn't need to languish anymore. And anytime there's some sort of proposal or development in Uniondale, it's held up. Now the permits were held up for quite a while. I don't know why they were held up like that. But we need to move forward, and we need to do what's right for our community. And if you want my correspondence back and forth, I can send you those correspondence because I have been sending emails back and forth regarding this issue for 4 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Davis. I don't know if he's, Matthew Ingber, is he with you? Mr. Ingber, are you with them?
No.
No, okay, good. If you give your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
I already presented.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna say, it's with you. Matt, what's the matter? Listen. Heidi Sant? Hi, just give me your name and address for the record, thanks.
Yes, hi, Heidi Saft, 116 Florence Avenue, borderline Hempstead and Uniondale. Also, just for the record, I'm the Vice President of the Nostrum Garden Civic Association in Uniondale. My family has owned a home in the neighborhood, 6 blocks away from this proposed gas station since 1967. Long time. Okay, a few questions regarding signs. Do you have any plans on flashing signs for the gas station?
If you, I see someone shaking his head no, but you better answer the question so she can hear you. So your answer is?
No, we do not.
Thank you, because we do not want any flashing signs. Number 2, I'm glad to hear you're planting flowers. Will you have a contract with someone to maintain the shrubs and the flowers in around the gas station? You'll have a contractor, because we don't just want talk, we want to know.
Yes, there'll be professional landscapers contracted to maintain the property.
Okay, thank you. And the last thing is, I'm very concerned about the plan on having this as a 24-hour convenience store, and I'll tell you why. Hello? It still works, okay. It's just not a good idea. In Uniondale, for the most part, these 24-hour convenience stores attract loiterers late in the evening, homeless people with nowhere to go, there's people with issues, whether it's drinking issues, mental illness issues, just loitering, begging for money. It's not a good idea. It's going to have a negative impact on the community. It'll just be another place where people hang out. And quite frankly, people who need something aren't going to want to go in there at late hours in the evening. Just to give you an example from personal experience, there's a 7-Eleven in Uniondale. I did actually go in. And, people, you can just see that these are people who are down and out. You have to avoid them so that they don't ask you for your money. You feel unsafe when you're in the store. And it's just not a good thing for the community. And if this is an upscale shop, is this the first shop, the first business this person is creating? This, I forget what you call it. Zippy Mart? Is this, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Maybe you've indicated it will be a 24-hour store. Do you have some sort of security or surveillance cameras or something like that?
All right, so just addressing sort of the earlier issues first. With regard to loitering, vagrancy, things of that nature, I've been doing this kind of work, 7-Eleven, convenience stores, gas stations for over 30 years. And what we do find is indeed, when you pass by a 7-Eleven as an example, which are generally always 24 hours, you indeed might see those folks. The issue we have with closing at night is, honestly, if those folks really want to go somewhere and do something nefarious or something they don't want seen, we find that the worst thing that we can do is turn all the lights out and close the doors, because now we've got hiding places. When a facility is open 24 hours, we've got active employees who are able to call police or authorities as needed and monitor their property. I can't answer for how the 7-Eleven or the other folks, or other places you've seen are operated, but again, as I just indicated, our client is making an almost $3 million investment here. That's without the land. That's just construction costs. To think that he would allow this place to be run down and not operated property really is a misnomer. It is not correct. They are making a substantial investment here in Uniondale on a blighted corner, which I think everybody in the room agrees needs a shot in the arm and an update. And the 24-hour use, we feel, not just from a financial perspective, but from the ability to police one's own property. When you're home, who best to guard your house but when you're home? When you're away is when you're concerned that something bad's going to go on. These folks are going to be home all day, all night, watching their property, calling the authorities and making sure it's being operated properly. With regard to the facility owner and how he's going to develop, he's got over 30 years in the restaurant and food business. He took a minor break after he sold some of his businesses, and now he's getting back in with this. We are hoping, as is my client, that this is the first of several Zippy Mart facilities that we will see. Certainly this town has seen some first-class operators that I've represented, and I'm seeing the same sparkle in their eye in terms of how they want to operate this facility and be a good neighbor to the town.
Thank you very much. Next I have...
Can I just say one more thing? I think before the
we
decision is
gotta-
made, there should be a meeting on this issue.
We haven't made any decision yet. We have a number of residents who go through, and I know the deputy supervisor wanted to add something or ask a
Okay,
question.
all right, thank you.
Ms. Sen. Did you want to add something? We still have more people.
I was wondering about where the garbage will go, that you have a garbage container.
Yeah, if you can just identify where it is, you're going to have the garbage container on the map.
Sure, so looking at the map, just towards the, if you're looking at the pump islands, which are in the middle, looking towards the building, it would be on the left-hand side within an enclosure, a fenced enclosure.
Yeah, so it's over in the northwest corner?
Yes, sir, and those, understanding the next question is probably when will pickups occur. They're generally during off-peak hours, probably late morning or early afternoon.
Okay, all right, thank you. Next I have James Jacob. You know, Mr. Jacobs, give me your name and address, that'd be awesome.
I'm still supervisor of the state is B. Jacobs, because there's more than one Jacobs in Uniondale, so I appreciate you doing that for me. Good morning, everybody. If you notice, the recurring theme of the people speaking up here is about quality of life issues for us being a good corporate neighbor. Because they have other businesses that came into Uniondale, and once they got in Uniondale, they were not good neighbors, keeping up their property, keeping records from their property, and so forth. My concern as a resident over 30 years is this new station, will it be EPA compliance? Will they have deliveries through the middle of the night to disturb my rest? Will they have activities that, will cause people to have undue attention drawn to it? See, because if you notice, everybody keeps talking about beautification and so forth, because you have other businesses that came in Uniondale, and once they got a foothold in Uniondale, like how you stated about 7-Eleven, and there's others, that once they got in, they started letting the place go down and be very trashy. And then council senior deputy supervisor, councilman district number 1, we take pride of where we live at. And for people to come in there, and before I forget anything, to the gentleman who's the owner in the place, if you come in and don't speak to the neighbors in the surrounding of your property, be a good corporate neighbor, because people will appreciate doing business there, but they also like to be respected. Because I know if I go to somebody else's house, I try to abide by their rules and how they govern themselves. And also in the mere fact that when you do vote on this, take into consideration that people won't be involved with the decision and how it goes, because it's going to be 24-hour place. When the gas truck be delivering, they want to take away the old tanks that used to be there when it was a great band and so forth, for environmental concern. But this is what I'm speaking about. Because in Uniondale, like I say, you tell us that everybody's welcome to be here, but when we look at the redistricting map, when we look at corporation business that come to Uniondale, look like the good ones go to the north side of Hempstead Turnpike, and they send us the stuff that like to consider leftovers, and I don't think I'm a leftover. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Will the gas station be in compliance with all EPA rules and DEC rules?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, it will. All the tank systems, everything is going to be brand new with this facility and state of the art.
And what about delivery? As Mr. Jacobs pointed out, he had some concerns about when delivery takes place.
So the fuel deliveries generally, as we discussed also with the trash, we try to schedule them on off-peak hours, typically during the day when the traffic is light. It's much safer to deliver during the day, so nighttime deliveries are something that we try to discourage, both for gasoline and for the store itself. Because this is a relatively small store, the deliveries will probably come via box trucks, and those probably will be on a frequency of perhaps 2 a day. There might go 2 days with none, and then maybe 3 on another day. They're generally on an as-needed basis. But there would be no tractor-trailer deliveries for goods to the store. Again, the tanker truck, of course, will need to be there 3 or 4 times a week. And they're only there for about 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, all right.
Still there, I'd like to ask you one more question. On the back fence, I see there's a home back there. I don't see it in there. Where's that home in your, on this side? You see it? See, look, this house right here. Okay, so I noticed the family has a big fence. They have a white fence up there. Would you be able to accommodate them so that they could have the same fencing, and that way they will not be disturbed by the fact that you have your garbage can and so forth back there?
Yes, indeed. All of our improvements will be on our side of the lot, and if they have a nice, beautiful fence in good condition, then we certainly won't disturb it. And that's there's a shed actually closest to the lot line. The house is set back closer towards the other street.
And if I see correctly, even on your site plan, you do have an array of greenery abutting those properties as sort of like as a buffer. Is that correct?
Very dense evergreens that will grow to 15 feet in height within a couple of years of planting.
Okay, so just make sure you have a fence as well. I'm sure they want it, so you can talk to them and find out what they would like.
Yeah, 6-foot solid PVC fence is proposed along our entire line, and that will provide adequate buffering again with the evergreens.
Next, I have Grace Martin. Yes. Ms. Martin, if you give me name and address when we go there, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Hey.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Grace Barton. I live at 565 Dewey Avenue. My house is directly in the back of where the gas station will be erected.
Excuse me, is that the gray house I'm looking at?
Yes, big house.
Okay, that's the house, sir.
That is my home, and I've been living there for near 40 years. I'm very concerned because previously the gas station that was there before the fumes was toxic. Many times I had to call PSEG to come in to check if I had a leak coming from the gas station. Coming from my home, where it was a gas station. And there's a passage right behind my fence. And you have derelicts going behind there. Next door you have derelicts, and I'm very concerned. We weren't informed, nobody discussed anything with us. I'm just hearing about this. I got a letter, and I decided to come in and to hear what was going on. I'm very concerned, because they're telling you all these things, and I don't know if later on all these things will be kept up. This is my concern.
Right. And rightfully
My
so.
daughter and myself.
That's why the deputy supervisor and I asked if they had talked to the neighbors. And one thing I do think that warrants is a conversation with the neighbor. I can see where she's commenting about the other commercial property that probably is abutting your house. On the other side, there's an alleyway back there. I see exactly what your concerns are, and that's why I'm going to ask the proposers of this to meet with the neighbors. You got to get the input and their concerns. They've been there for a really long time, and you know what, they want to have gain a lot of trust in anything that's being done there, and you guys are going to have to convince you that that's the case.
They definitely need to meet with us and let us know what's going on. We're left out of that.
Perhaps if you stay here, you can exchange your business card to do a follow-up. I think that would really be essential, okay?
Actually, what I normally do, and which I will do, I'm not sure if this letter went out or not, we usually send a letter out. Once they send it to us, so all the people around it are invited to come so they can meet with you. And I think they will be able to do that. So we'll make sure of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any other slips on this. Is there anybody that did not sign in for item number 10 that'd like to be heard? The gentleman in the back had his hand. No. Right behind, he was first. There you go. How you doing? Just give me name and address for the record. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris Jacobs, New York. I hope that this proposal, I understand you say they want to meet with the neighbors and everything like that, but lots of times my organization I belong to, we ask a lot of things for sanitation, different issues like that. We've been getting meetings with the town, but that's another issue. I hope this has moved along quickly because for over 10 years now it's been a brownfield site. It just got, I guess the new owners took it over, it was fenced up, it was abandoned, accessible, and kids are tripping and falling all in it for years. And the only thing I'm thinking about right now is that I noticed that there was another gas station that I remember that was left abandoned for a long period of time, and that was a brownfield site in East Meadow. And I remember when Councilman Dunn ran for state senate, that thing was fixed up and put up in about a year and a half flat. So for myself, in my neighborhood, not having it for over 10 years and you're trying to delay it, it's just delaying our quality of life, and it should be.
Mr. James, no one's delaying it, and in all due respect, you just heard from a neighbor that has some concerns. So we're having a hearing, and I don't want you to say we're delaying it because we haven't even made a motion, but you've now had, I think that somebody on the vice president actually said they should have a meeting. So we're trying to accommodate, but we have to address the neighbors. So don't think, I don't want you to say like we're delaying it because we're not. We're trying to facilitate and put people together.
I understand, but from my experiences, Supervisor Clayton, is that when things come here and in other communities, there's a delay in lack of communication with many other issues, such as sanitation, such as building code violations, everything like that. There's very little meetings and very little of that. So it's like you're picking and choosing when you want to have meetings with people and not. And basically, I always say anything that can improve any neighborhood, not just mine, but anybody else's. There should be transparency in meetings with people expeditiously. And I notice that certain things, when it comes to certain particular things around the town of Hempstead, which is the largest township, as I've always been told, is that it's what's good for some is not good for others. I don't think that's fair. I would do it a little differently. But as for this, I think it should be with the neighbors, but whatever is done, whether you meet with the neighbors, and I respect all my neighbors that live along in the same community as I do, I think that the meetings and everything should be expeditiously done because abandoned gas station, brownfield sites are no good for anybody. That's including myself. That's including any neighborhood within the town of Hempstead. That's all.
Okay. I know I saw a couple of hands back there. The gentleman there, did you want to speak or not? You're good. Okay. Yes, if you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Rita J. Mariday. Where does one start? I'm just confused as to where all this, again, I'm for development. I pass by that area all the time. see the decay and the delay, and knowing that there is a 7-Eleven right across the street, I don't know how that's going to impact their business if Zippy has a higher grade, even though it seems like we're just bringing more processed diabetes and high blood pressure and stroke generating foods into our neighborhoods. I don't remember anybody saying anything about a salad or, something of that nature. But again, that's what happens here. My concern is that there was more discussion about the trees, which, trust me, it's nice to hear that you're going to have somebody contracting, because there's never been a tree or a blade of grass on that property in the decades that it's been left abandoned. So that is a good thing. But to hear that you hadn't had any conversation with the residents, I'm sure that there are other communities that would have been up in arms. Maybe their leadership would have said something, or maybe hosted a meeting prior to this, because that is concerning. And no one, again, in the leadership positions that utilize our millions of dollars in tax funding, mentioned anything about the compliance with regard to storm generation. Winter, there are some gas stations, I don't know if those are the ones in your 30-year experience, Mr. Tartaglia. I have a problem if people don't listen when I'm speaking, and it directs them, and that's just an issue for me. But those locations where the gas stations are not kept up for people who are walking or traveling. We have snow, we have rain, we have things of that nature, we have ice. Trash is one issue, but we're in a storm zone, okay? If you have generators, what is the support systems? Are you going to be hiring locally within the community? I know that Councilman Dunn was here, he'd be asking, is there going to be a flag? How many disabled parking spots are going to be there? If there's any going to be a reference, a corner for veterans. We have a strong community in Uniondale. We have a lot of veterans there. I mean, where is all of that? Where were the questions for that? If you're going to reserve the decision, then make the decision based upon a wide range of answers, but don't hold up the necessity for something to be in that community, but do it right. Be consistent. Those that live in Uniondale and the bordering neighbors, we're in Baldwin and Roosevelt. We want the same consideration from our elected officials that you would give to the 5 towns, that you would give to these other communities that have people that have come up here and speak their hearts and their guts out and take time off to come to a day meeting to just be, pushed aside like, well, we're doing the best that we can. It's not just about the trees, sir. It is also about the safety. So let's get it right. Thank you.
I have to say anything about the poll because you already have that in the script. I saw that.
So here's my question. Maybe you want to identify how many handicap parking spots there are. I think you said there were 7. On the render, I know you had up there, but maybe you just want to verify that. 7? You had 7 spots. How many are handicapped?
One of the handicaps is required and provided.
Okay. And that is, I was going to say that's in compliance, correct?
Yes, and we're happy to put a flagpole up if the community would like it, or the town board. Happy to do so.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. I don't have any other slips. Is there anybody else that did not sign in that wishes to be heard?
And just for the record, the public notice for this hearing was sent out to the property owners within a 300-foot radius of the site on January 25th. It had our office's contact information, and we didn't receive any phone calls from residents. I just wanted to clear it up for the record that we're not coming in here without proper notice. In addition, there were public notice signs, one posted on Uniondale Avenue, as well as one on Jerusalem Avenue. So this application wasn't a surprise. It was properly noticed pursuant to the town code.
I know that you have them on the fences, and I know that you've been working, but you didn't send the notice to me so I could be assured that the residents have gotten them. You should, anytime you're doing anything, you have to send a notice to my office.
Okay.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thanks.
And I got the chance to see all of this stuff, and I really it blew my mind. I really did. And there's much more up here that I have. So just want to make sure that the ones, I know it's 300 mile radius that you did do for them. So how many letters did you send out?
Yeah, we sent out the public notice letter, one from our attorney letter, and as well as the resolution issued by the town board from about a month ago, setting the public hearing for today. So there were 2 letters within the...
Is anyone here who could receive one of those letters?
The neighborhood, Mrs. Grace.
Who did? Oh,
Grace, you
Ms.
got the
Grace
letter,
did. Is she here? Oh, you received the letter, Ms. Grace?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I'm going to make a motion that we reserve decision. Second?
Supervisor Clayton?
Yeah, I'm going to do that, but I will tell you in particular, Ms. Grace and the other neighbors, I think,
Can't hear you.
To meet with them, alleviate their concerns, talk to them about the project.
We will. Yeah, we'll do that right after this.
All right, so I'll support the motion to reserve decision.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Bustos?
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Would you provide a list of those people that you sent the letters to my office, please?
Yeah.
And while you walk back, just give me, if you just grab particularly Mrs. Grace and any adjoining neighbors and maybe get the business card so you can, get that conversation going, all right?
Sure.
Thank you very much. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Redistricting of the Town of Hempstead's councilmanic districts to be codified as an amendment of Chapter 7A of the Hempstead Town Code.
Okay. At this time, the board and I wish to inform the public that this public hearing will begin today and be continued on February 14, 2023 at 7 p.m. here at the Bennett Pavilion in Hempstead Hall.
Mr. Supervisor, with your permission, since the public hearing will begin today and be continued to February 14, 2023 at 7 p.m., it is one continuous public hearing. So I wish to remind the public that consistent with Town Board Rule 7A1, and just as we do at the town's budget hearing, each participant can speak either today or on September 14, 2023.
February.
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
But not both. Again, it is one continuous public hearing, so a speaker cannot make comments twice. Supervisor, I would also like to read a brief statement with yours and the board's permission. As the redistricting process has advanced, the town has acutely focused on creating districts that are fair and compliant with all applicable federal and state laws. Further, we have attentively considered residents' input. We've incorporated other redistricting considerations. We considered compactness, respect for communities of interest, and minimize the dividing of villages and hamlets across multiple districts. I would also like to add to the record a letter that we received from the Baldwin Oaks Civic Association dated February 6th, and this statement, as well as the executive summary that was handed out to each and every member of the public who came in today, with one amendment. On page 1, with regard to District 2, it indicates that 4 districts are in District 2 from Uniondale, when in actuality, the map proposed today, only 3 districts, election districts, are included in District 2.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rembrandt. All right, any member of the board wish to have a comment on this? If not, I have a number of speakers. When I identify, if you go to the back and give your name and address for the record, that would be awesome. We'll start with Daniel Crutchfield.
Ooh, right here.
Still is. Your name and address, thanks.
Daniel Carciolo, 8 Williamson Street, East Rockaway. My pronouns are he, him. I'd like to just kind of set the level for the redistricting here. I've been highly involved in the commission and watching things kind of progress, listening to people, meeting new people the last couple of months since November. It's Black History Month, right? And all of our communities are having Black History events and understanding the trials and tribulations that so many of our community members have faced over the years. Our community in the town of Hempstead is changing, it's evolving. We need to adapt to keep communities compact. We cannot push Baldwin split. We cannot continue to split West Hempstead. We cannot think about putting Valley Stream and Elmont not together. These communities are one. The proposed district and map that is currently on the screen, in my personal opinion, I live in East Rockaway. I live in a predominantly white district. I am just mystified that Lakeview would be included in our district. I am mystified that my friends in Freeport are in the same district as Seaford and Wantagh. These things are really important to equitable representation. And we need to understand as we grow as a town and continue to adapt and move forward that voters need to choose their council people. Council people should not choose their voters. I'm going to repeat, voters should choose our people who are elected. Our elected officials should not choose our voters. When we continuously gerrymander our districts, we snuff out people who have been underrepresented in our community since the dawn of this town of Hempstead, which I just walked past was since the late 1600s. There has been so much change and so much adaptation. And when we talk about being scared of Queens coming into our neighborhoods, we are covertly racist, okay? We are saying that we do not want people of color in our neighborhoods. We are saying that we are frustrated because of overcrowding. When we combat that with no to local zoning and abolishing or whatever the case may be regarding changing the fabric of community and saving our suburbs, we are doing a disservice to our suburbs if we do not equitably represent the people of our communities. And I'm sorry to say that our community is changing. If that offends you, I'm sorry. It doesn't offend me. Thank you very much.
Next, I have Chris Jacobs. Chris Jacobs? How you doing? If you can read name and address for the record, thank you.
Chris Jacobs, Unionville, New York. Basically, I think the map is unfair. It cuts into so many districts. I'm looking at this one with the previous one when Unionville was still divided, and Unionville, all the residents of the United States should remain whole. I'm noticing that I labeled this thing called the Wonder Hump right by the Coliseum, and I'm thinking that's because I said, okay, if county executive Blakely gets what he wants and get that thing over there that's going to bring down the quality of life, I love how they Wonder Hump it into Unionville and say, okay, that's your problem, guys, and anything crime related and other things that will be brought with that will be our problem. But I think the map should be redrawn. It divides too many things. It doesn't have any continuity with any kind of districts of each other. And Unionville should remain whole. It only goes from the southern state to the Old Country Road. So for such a small hamlet to be divided like that is unfair. And that's all I have to say about that.
Thanks, Mr. Jacobs. Next, I have Grace Barton. Grace Barton? Okay. Next I have Pamela Korn. Can you do it if you give me an address of the record? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Pamela Korn, 80 Harris Avenue, Hewlett. I do want to speak on redistricting, but I do have to mention that I'm upset that I am not represented because my councilman is now in D.C. and I don't have representation at this point on the town board. So I'm hoping that will be taken care of shortly. As far as the redistricting, I've been here for several of the hearings. I was here when Attorney Frederick Brewington very eloquently presented legal documents, a legal letter. As a taxpayer, I am concerned that if the proposed maps end up in court, it will be another over decade like it was with the Mrs. Goosby's case, who, by the way, is an icon in voting rights, and I thank her. I just feel that the board has a fiduciary responsibility to its taxpayers to make sure that these proposed maps do not end up in court, possibly going all the way to the Supreme Court like the Goosby case. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Korn. Next I have Paul Bua. Morning, if you can name and address for the record, thank you.
Hi there, my name is Paul Bua, 738 Clifford Court, Baldwin, 52-year resident property owner, Baldwin. I just have a few comments. I support the Baldwin Civic Association's letter they sent to you for One Baldwin. Baldwin has been blighted for over 2 decades. We are now mixed use, we have DRI, and lots of funding for development. I'm concerned that we have the representation to manage the policies to bring Baldwin back to where it should be. I'm also concerned that these districts are split down Sunrise Highway. Long Island Railroad is down Sunrise Highway. And I know there's some policies that some of our representatives don't agree with about incurring funding for housing where transit hubs are. So if these districts are going to be, or towns will be split right between Long Island Railroad, you cancel each other's votes out in order to determine housing. That's an issue that I find relevant. Also, in terms of the process here, which has been pretty opaque, if you have a public website that asks for public comments, they should be public in real time for voters to read and engage with. I don't understand why it hasn't been throughout the process. And I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. If and when you choose to show public comments to people, please let us know when. If not, why not? Because I think that's important to the process here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Janine Maynard. How you doing? If you name and address for the record, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Janine Maynard. I live at 255 Mary Street in Hempstead. I'm part of the greater Uniondale area, and I'm here to speak on the changes that are proposed for councilmatic districts 1 and 2. First, I want to say that the recommendations that were made and the paperwork that went in when that was described had some problems. Our Commissioner Brazeley's comments were taken somewhat out of context. She had made clear statements in the record on the 19th of January that communities and their properties were to be together, so I'll quote. In the transcript section of the report from the 19th, page 7 and between lines 7 and 14, it said Hempstead and Uniondale, separating the people from the real estate, I think, is the issue. And they are not addressed in all the maps. So we have Hempstead as well. Hempstead is not whole either. She was clearly stating that the definition of a whole community was about a community and its assets, and not just a community and its members. And that has continued to be a misinterpretation that's flowed forward in all the written explanations of what's going on. So today's paper. Today's executive summary under District 1 describes that it includes the entire communities of Hempstead, West Hempstead, Roosevelt, and the vast majority of Uniondale. And then in District 2, it refers to, as discussed above, the board's plan accommodates public request to keep Uniondale whole as much as practicable by only placing the remaining small portion of the community in District 2. So I have our CDP map.
By whose definition is this a small portion of our community? Could you please think?
Talk in the mic.
This is Uniondale.
This map is Uniondale. And your document is defining all of this space as small. And whose definition is that small?
Question?
Vast majority means this, and yes, it's a lot of residential space, and a little hump out of this area. And that's a small majority of our space.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Maynard.
It's not accurate.
I appreciate it. If you want to make a submission of that, you can. That would be great. Next, I have Susan Kay.
I want to finish with saying we do not support this map.
Understood. Thank you so much. Next, I have Susan Kay. Can you give me your name and address for the record? Thank you.
I'm Susan Kay. I live at, my address is 265 Sunrise Highway in Rockville Center. Your map that you have of the redistricting shows Valley Stream nowhere near Elmont. There is a part of Valley Stream known as the floating district. They pay Valley Stream school taxes, but they do not live in the incorporated village. They cannot belong to the pool. They have no library. And for years, they vote on the Elmont Library. They pay to join it. With your new map, they are nowhere near Elmont. This is gerrymandering. You like gerrymandering so we can have people like Santos and Desposito elected to Congress. Why are we teaching our children and grandchildren? It's okay to lie. It's okay to cheat. It's okay to be a former cop and screw up. They both belong in jail in orange bunny suits. And I will end with one more thing. Go build your casino. Go build, have human trafficking. There's a hotel right next door. Go build your casino and have a Las Vegas shooting in your own backyard.
Okay, thank you very much. Next I have Thomas Tinneman. Give me name and address for the record, thank you.
Tom Tinman, 15 New York Avenue in West Hempstead. First, a land acknowledgement. We are on the stolen lands of the American Lenape tribes. The land grab is basically what we've been talking about, financially taking profitable areas and moving them into other districts. Enough said. I want to use some song lyrics that apply very much to this particular issue. The song is called Just Change the Boundary, the gerrymander song. We got kind of nervous as we read the polling news. Of course, we sure need our paychecks, perks, and titles too. We looked at the addresses where we lost the vote and such, and then we had a great idea. It wasn't cheating much. Just change the boundaries, redraw the lines. People in these districts vote the wrong way every time. We'll move the borders and we'll dominate. First take away the people's choice, and then we'll rule the state. These precincts came about through logic or geography. They're not carved in stone, so there's flexibility. Our party has to hold the state if we're to change the tide. No one will beat us with new districts on our side. And then the chorus. To steal elections, discriminate, well, the other party may fight them, but it'll be too late. We'll blame the others as we dominate, and we'll hold all the purse strings by coincidence or fate. Just change the boundaries, redraw the lines. People in these districts vote the wrong way every time. First, take away the people's choice, and then we'll rule the state. Thank you.
Lorraine Hedges. If you just give me a name and address for the record when you come up there.
Good morning. My name is Lorraine Hedges. I live in East Meadow.
So it's very hard for someone like me, who grew up during the tumultuous years of the civil rights movement, when people of color fought and died for voting rights, to comprehend that we have to stand here and beg our town leaders to simply do what's right, to assure that all residents of this town have the constitutional right to fair representation. We've been through this battle before, and yet here we are again. Have you not been listening to the people, to the taxpayers, the citizens, who are simply asking you to make sure that the redistricting maps of the town of Hempstead are fair and reflective of all the residents, so that the residents will be assured that each and every one of their voices will be heard and matter at the ballot box within the communities in which they live and work and send their children to school. And that they will have the opportunity to elect candidates who represent their needs. Why is this so difficult to understand? Is this based on the fear that eventually minorities will become the majority? I think I know the answer to that. I think we all do. All we're asking is not to have the voices of minorities suppressed by unfair redistricting. I respectfully am saying that we really need to listen to the people, and the people will not be silenced.
Amy Pierre Johnson. Just give me your name and address for the record, thanks.
Minnie Pierre Johnson, 70 Crystal Street, Elmont. So everything I was going to say, everyone said it, so my time. So fair representation is very important. None of us throughout these weeks and months with redistricting on all levels has talked about, the political aspect of what will happen in a real way, because we can, but we are not, we're not doing that. What we're simply asking for is the next 10 years. The decision that you make is going to affect our children, some of us our grandchildren. And you are almost there. The commission, if you listen to the conversations of the commission, the last meeting that was supposed to be a working meeting, however, at the end of the meeting, the lawyer puts out a resolution. That baffled me, because if you're having a working meeting and you're supposed to talk about what the people have said so that you can have a fair and legal map, the resolution shouldn't have been already written as to what you're going to vote on. So I don't know if the board knows that happened, but that's wrong. And secondly, we talk about the things that we don't want to see on the maps because that's our life, our everyday life. And it's really important for the town because you make decisions that matter to us aesthetically, right? So when you're making decisions about our roads, our lights, our traffic, cleaning, all those things are taxpayers' services that are provided by the town. Do you think Garden City, I don't ever remembering anyone from Garden City being a part of this, do you think they care whether Village Avenue, Elmont Road, Dutch Broadway gets swept or not? I can tell you, we don't get that type of service. And so there are like minimal things to some people that are great to us. And sometimes people ask the question though, why is it that some neighborhoods are better than others aesthetically? Well, the town, you have something to do with that. But these decisions that you're making, those are the things on those maps. So when we tell you that North Valley Stream, our children from Elmont Memorial High School lives there, and you cut them out, you cut those parents out. Where are they supposed to go? In the 5 town? That's what you're doing to us when you separate. And, your resolution about contiguous and all. No, interest is very important to us. Interest of our communities is important to us. So the town board, you have a chance to say today.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
You have a chance to say today. This is decision of 10 years. You have a chance.
I appreciate it. I got it going. Ms. Johnson, I get yelled at if I don't hold it to the 3 minutes. Trust me. I get yelled at all the time. Please, ladies and gentlemen, we have a rule. It is 3 minutes. It is a 3-minute rule. We're very respectful of it. If you'd like to supplement, I think the town attorney said you could also supplement with an email or something along those lines.
The town attorney just said that we can't speak on the 14th if we spoke today.
Yes, that is correct. Next I have Judy Cataldo.
You're treating this as
No, I'm not,
a
Ms.
meeting.
Pierre. No,
It's not a meeting.
Judy
It's
Cataldo.
a
Thank you, Ms.
redistricting
Johnson.
hearing
Thank
that
you,
we
Ms.
should have an
Johnson.
opportunity to
Judy
speak.
Cataldo.
I'll
Thank you,
respect you
okay.
and sit down.
Judy,
But
thank
I'm
you,
going
Ms.
to tell
Johnson.
you one
Thank
thing.
you. No, Ms. Johnson,
We
thank you
will
so much.
remember in
Judy
November.
Cataldo. Ms. Cataldo? Okay. Ms. Meredith.
Yes, Ms. Meredith. Rita J. Meredith, thank you very much. Yes, that was me.
Would you like to be heard?
I'm not going to speak now.
No, I'm calling you now, so if you want to speak. No, it's not going to have an whole
The town
order here.
attorney said I can only speak once if this is a continuous hearing.
Okay, so, but
I'm going to speak on the 14th, but I.
Okay, great. Okay, Felix Bercacci.
So I'm saying what I need to say.
Felix Bercacci. Thank you so much.
My time, this is my
Okay.
time, and my people build.
Next, Ms. Bercacci. Thank
Yeah, I'll be right there.
Please try to sort me out, I'm getting ready to leave here. Oh, it's very.
Hey, how you doing? If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Felix Bocacci, Franklin Square. What are communities of interest as referenced in the statement, in the documents that the town handed out? What is that called? What is that reference? Communities of interest.
Communities that have like interests, have like concerns, and school districts, libraries, villages, hamlets. You will notice that there are, between hamlets and villages, 60 in the town of Hempstead, and 56, according to this map, are made whole. Only 4 are split, and one of them is Uniondale. And a common misconception that has been spoken about is that for economic reasons in Uniondale it was split. In actuality, the people came to the hearings and they raised that concern. And if you look at the map, the actual area that they thought was the economic basis that was being taken out of Uniondale was actually the area around the Coliseum. And based upon those requests, this town board answered that request and placed it in District Number 1, which is what everyone who got up at the redistricting meetings indicated they wanted.
Okay. I was at all the meetings regarding redistricting. The 2 things that got brought up at every meeting, I didn't count how much of each, was 1, keep communities together, like Baldwin, Hempstead Village, Franklin Square, Merritt, everybody. And the second thing was the focus on a minority-majority district. But in the work session, which we weren't allowed to speak, Gary Hughes got up and said that he has 2 years so he could listen twice as much he could speak, but he never, everybody was yelling out minority-majority district, but that was not put on the recommendation to the town board. Now my question regarding that is, what effort did whoever made up these maps make in order to include a majority-minority district in these maps? What effort was made, if any?
The law firm that was hired by the town board to draw the maps was Troutman, Pepper, Hamilton, Sanders, and redistricting expert Sean Trendy. And their recommendation is that this map, based upon the statistics of the town, complies with federal and state statutes. And that's why it's being presented.
Okay, the question was, what effort was made to make a majority-minority district? Was any effort? If the answer is yes, say yes. If any effort, no effort, then say no.
Mr. Kachin,
We just answered the question, though.
Mr. Kachin, you asked a question, you don't get to put parameters on it, okay?
Well, if somebody answers something that has nothing to do with what I said, I'm not putting parameters on it. I'm asking a question where I require an answer. I mean, if you could tell me what the weather's like, I didn't ask that question. I think I have a right to direct him to what my question.
No,
I don't think I'm out of my bounds if my question is about that. Just say yes or no. Or you don't know. One or the other.
Mr. Kachin, you asked a question and then said, you know, it's either this or that. That's directing how someone's going to answer. That isn't appropriate.
What?
You said yes or no.
It's easy for you.
No.
Okay, answer in detail. I didn't get an answer yet. I got an answer saying that it's according to federal law, but what about the minority district? That's the question.
Mr. Picacci.
Yes.
There are federal and state laws that govern redistricting. Our attorneys, with their legal expert, comply with those requirements, we believe.
Okay, how many majority-minority districts are in your plan?
How many?
How many?
Dance around that one. But it's three that are required.
How many?
Mr. Kachin, I think the town attorney said, you know, that...
No. How many, and now I'm asking a different question. How many majority-minority districts are in this map? How many?
Mr. Kachin, I think...
I'm asking the question. Then that's a number, 1 through 6. It's pretty easy.
Mr. Kachin, I think the town attorney...
He didn't answer that. You want to repeat what he said?
Mr. Kachin, I think the town attorney respectfully said that the attorneys have said we comply with both state and federal guidelines.
How many majority-minority districts? That's the question. How many?
I don't know if that's in his purview to answer the question. I think he's really answered it.
That's a question. I'm asking a question. Say you don't know if you don't know.
But nobody said that, Mr. Kachin.
Well, say something besides repeating something that I'm not asking.
Statistics speaks for themselves. Over and over again, people have come up here and said that they are going to sue based upon the maps. Based upon my advice and the advice of counsel, that is a question that will ultimately be determined by a court of law.
Okay. So you're taking the Fifth Amendment for the record.
You're not taking the Fifth Amendment. You don't like the answer to the question.
No. I'm clarifying what you said.
We gave out
taking the Fifth Amendment.
We gave out statistics, demographics that were handed out.
You can't say you don't.
Okay.
You can't say you.
John, hold on, Mr. Kachin, by yelling, you're not leaving it. I think the town attorney respectfully gave you an answer.
What question I didn't ask?
Mr. Kachin, again, people gave you an answer. You might not like his answer. I can't help it, but I think he did give you the answer.
You didn't answer the question.
If he told me what the weather was outside, I wouldn't like that answer either. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kachin. Emil Ferrani? Are you going to give me an address for the record? That'd be great.
Emil Ferrani, Valley Street. I want to speak on the redistricting. This commission, the way it's been run, it's just like a car dealership negotiation. But just like when somebody goes and negotiates for a car, the average person will always lose. And this is exactly what we see in the town's final maps. Not only does the final map split several hamlets, but it fails to create new majority-minority districts. The Elmont Cultural Center, as well as Mr. Brewington's map, included 3 majority-minority districts. When former Councilman Gary Hughes asked Dorothy Braisley if she favors the Bluebird map with some tweaking, she said yes. I asked the town attorney, does this final map look like the Bluebird map with some tweaking? Okay. In the end, we only see one majority-minority district, just like the current map. The town has failed to even listen to the only lone Democrat on the commission, clearly a show of partisan politics. And when it comes to the hamlets, yet again, we see them split in the final map. And we see this is an instance where Mr. D'Agostino, the Republican on the commission, who highlighted specific communities, such as West Hempstead, were split up, not even put into a single district. And he even asked for North Valley Stream to be included with Elmont, and that was not included. But perhaps what's most troubling is how even amongst your own lines, this map is ridiculous. Going back to North Valley Stream residents use the Elmont Library, yet they're split into two. The town attorney, you mentioned how library districts should be kept together, yet they're split up, contradicting your own commission member and contradicting residents who asked for Elmont and Valley Stream to be kept together. In addition, Sanitation District 6, under the town of Hempstead, serves communities such as north of the village of Valley Stream. Those areas are split up. And when it comes to garbage collection, I want to emphasize it's not a Democrat or Republican issue. When a resident has an issue with their garbage pickup, they may not understand what sanitation districts are, especially since you people never advertise them. And as an example of this, the sanitation district in the Atlantic Beach Estates and East Atlantic Beach has no public hearings, no website, or even elections that are advertised. But suppose you do have an issue. Which elected official do you call if your district is split 2 or 3 times? And by splitting residents who live in common communities, such as in your own drawn sanitation districts as well as library districts, you're making it confusing for the residents who live in these districts. And while I hope the town will try to avoid costly litigation and not keep this current gerrymander in place, I know you won't do that, so I hope that we will all do whatever it takes to stop you guys in court. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I'm going to call Karen Montalbano. Good afternoon. If you give me your name and address for the record, thank you.
My name is Karen Montalbano. I live in Baldwin. I'm also the Baldwin Civic Association Government Liaison. We came here and we noted that Baldwin had 3 representatives. A little bit up north, a little bit down south, most of us together. Now you cracked us into 2 along Sunrise Highway. Why can't you keep 4 square miles whole? Baldwin gets no love. We had an overlay zone we negotiated out, and for 2 years you did not appoint a design review board. And then you tried to put a year moratorium on. And then you got a 45-day moratorium to basically do and announce that what was already there you were going to do. Now you're putting half of Baldwin in an area where we don't even know who is going to be representing us. We have no way of talking to anybody, okay? You're splitting the jurisdiction along Sunrise Highway. You're splitting the DRI zone that is there, the overlay zone. You keep talking about the notes on keeping communities together, yet you have split and cracked Baldwin in half. You're splitting, according to your notes, you should be splitting a school district. You're splitting a library district. Notably, anybody who has come in here has not been in support of these maps.
Not one.
Why can't you keep 4 square miles of a small hamlet, which has not been even represented well by this board, intact? Obviously, we are against what these maps stand for. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the good day. Next I have David Thomas. Hey, Mr. Thomas, good afternoon. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
I didn't hear that.
Good afternoon. I said if you give your name and address for the record, please, thank you.
Oh, my name is David Thomas. I live on 552 Ashcourt in Uniondale. And I'm here to oppose what you guys are trying to do with Uniondale in terms of taking away our tax base and reducing our district. You know, this is supposed to be Black History Month, and we're supposed to be able to celebrate what Blacks have been doing for our country. But this reminds me of a time when Europe went into Africa and just split it up. We were just splitting us up. There was a time when Uniondale district was 90% Caucasian, 10% minority. Now we're most minority, or we consider self-minority, and we are being taken, the base from which we can survive has been taken away from us. You guys propose a map that represents nothing but a sham. This is a political hit. when are you guys going to stop? What does it take for us to live in a community where we are comfortable with what we have and not you guys keep taking away from what we have? I would hope that this redistricting would not go through, and we'll continue our fight to make sure that Uniondale remains whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jonathan Provis. How you doing? Good afternoon. If you give me that just for the record.
Sure. Jonathan Prevost with the Bolton Oak Civic Association. Members of the town board, Supervisor Clayton, Deputy Supervisor Gooseby, pleasure to see you all again. I come today as a resident of Baldwin to first and foremost state that no one in the Baldwin community is in favor of these maps. Essentially, reviewing this map that is on the board that you see here, Baldwin is being divided. It is being divided by the north and south, which has always been historically an issue that was created by realtors. We cannot allow something like this to continue. Furthermore, as a resident of North Baldwin, I fall in the Uniondale School District. I was deeply saddened to see that the economic base of Uniondale is being cut out of Uniondale, a predominantly community of color that has a long and rich history. Furthermore, as a representative of the Baldwin Oaks Civic Association, I strongly do not support this map, and I urge the town board to please reconsider the points that have been made here by the people who have taken their time from their busy lives and their schedules to make sure that their voices are heard, because they believe that this 10-year plan will have a domino effect that is not in favor of the people that it's meant to serve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We're going to have to take a 15 minutes in order. We're going to have to take a 15-minute break for the stenographer who has to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to, why don't we say we'll reconvene at 12:30. It's 12:10 now, and thank you very much.
Where would I fall on this map?
All of the, if you're in the village of Hempstead, you are in Deputy Supervisor Goosby's district. If you are in the unincorporated areas of Uniondale, almost all of Uniondale, approximately 30,000 people, is in Deputy Supervisor Goosby's district, the first. Just north of Hempstead Turnpike, 3 election districts, approximately 3,000 people, because of population deviations, which we want to make sure that under the Voting Rights Act and under the new John Lewis law that's going into effect, we can only deviate by less than 5 or less %, and our numbers for this map are very, very good. Those 3 election districts are in Councilperson Muscarella's district, the 2nd district at this time.
Well, I know you're going through this map only by voters, but the residents are way more than what you are taking into account. The other thing I want you to know is that everybody says about talking truth to power, and I think most of our elected officials neglect to understand that we are the power, and you need to speak the truth. Transparency is not something that you pick and choose to give. We definitely feel that this map is unfair, but you already know that. But if you kept one community whole at its request, why didn't you keep Uniondale whole at its request? It has the same amount of not more people. And the other thing, I'm glad to see that I don't see East Garden City on here, but the possibility with this remapping is not to be crossed out. So please understand, you have us divided already by just saying if you speak here, you can't speak on the 14th at 7 p.m. The reason why this place is packed is because people have to work to support their families. And to say that we can't speak again is ridiculous, because we have freedom of speech, and I know things are done in an orderly fashion, But even if you cut down the people that spoke here that you have a list of, then cut them down to 1.5 minutes and not 3. But the people that are in here today have the right to hear what we here are saying right now. Now, this is a lynching without the rope.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mendes. Next, I have Michael Torrey. Good afternoon, if you give me your name and address for the record.
Yes, Michael Torrey, 23 Indiana Avenue, Long Beach. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, town board members, and Mr. Attorney. I noticed that first I want to say it's freezing in here every time I come in here, and I very much wish that this dais could be returned. The pandemic, apparently is ending. I would wish this dais could be returned to the front as it used to be years ago, because I like to look people in the eye when I speak to them. That being said, I noticed that you have added the 14th of February at 7 p.m. as a continued hearing. I consider it an abridgment of my First Amendment rights to be told I am not able to speak at a public meeting, regardless of whether you consider it continued or not. Any reason why this was done on February 14th, Valentine's Day, but it might be fair to say that people with a heart might be busy? Let's pause my time. Please pause my time. I can't see anything from here.
It says 204, 202.
What?
2 minutes. You have 2 questions.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
You asked me to do time. I just told you it was 2 minutes.
I asked you to pause it, not what it was.
Is there any reason you had to be paused?
Please restore it to what it was.
Is there a reason it had to be paused?
Yes, the question.
I asked you about February 14th.
That's the night of the continuation of the hearing.
Okay, there was a Monday meeting on January 3rd. There was no problem calling another meeting at that time when it wasn't Valentine's Day, when it might be that people could come. I'll say that I applaud that you guys put up a banner ad on your website as well as sent an email. Can the public expect that the banner ad will stay up with the revised 2/14 at 7 p.m. meeting dates, and another email will be sent? Pause my time.
Well, please don't tell people what to do, and of course we'll take it.
Don't tell me what to do, Mr. Clavin. Mr. Clavin, work for the people. Don't tell me what to do.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Torrey.
I'm sorry?
Thank you. We took it under advisement.
Okay, then. So, will there be any other emails? At the last meeting, that question was answered. But let me just go to the maps here. So, who is this quote attributed to? Why was this piece of paper not made available with the other materials online? So they had to come here to get this. Do you expect people have time to read this in advance of speaking to you? Crickets. Okay, so as the redistricting process has advanced, the Hempstead Board has acutely focused on creating districts that are fair. Not true. And they are not compliant with all applicable federal and state laws. On this very sheet alone, on page 5, the Federal Voting Rights Act on page 5, section 2 of the Federal Voting Rights Act says, thus, section 2 of the VRA prohibits states or their political subdivisions from imposing or applying any voting qualification, standard practice, or procedure that results in a denial or abridgment of the right. Under this section, a court can invalidate district lines if a minority group demonstrates, based on the totality of circumstances, that a state's political processes are not equally open to participation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You also failed to follow the ordinality of the municipal rule law.
Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it. Next week, the numbers.
Maybe you don't appreciate it. You don't act like you appreciate it. Whole redistricting is
Mr. Torrey, you don't have to yell. You don't have to know it. It's okay. Next, I'm going to call Earl Jacob. Ms. Jacobs, if you can give your name and address for the record. Good afternoon.
Pearl Jacobs, Uniondale. The vast majority of Uniondale, as reflected on the latest proposed map, encompasses Uniondale's residential community, south of Hempstead Turnpike, and separates Uniondale's industrial and commercial businesses, which will adversely affect Uniondale's tax revenue. This map depicts socio-economic racism. 2020 census found that 47% of the town consists of people of color. There is only one
majority-minority district representing just 16% of town residents. We need more representatives that reflect the diversity of the town. And was it your intent to create a majority-minority district? No answer? Okay.
Crickets.
Crickets again. Again, I'm going to quote from the write-up we have on District 3. And in addition to uniting the 5 towns, the board's proposed plan does not split Woodmere, which members of the communities testified should be kept whole. So, over and over again, people came before you, before this council, and requested that their communities remain whole. I know, especially with Uniondale, we were here all the time requesting that our communities remain whole. How do you listen to people from Woodmere and the other zip codes and not listen to Uniondale? That is just plain racism. Since you're not answering my question, just not answering me is discriminatory. You were elected to represent all of your constituents, not just appointed, not just choice zip codes. You were appointed to represent and speak to all your representatives. Councilwoman Goolsbee, how do you feel about this new proposed map for Uniondale? You can't speak on it?
Fifth Amendment.
Why can't you speak on it? It affects your residents.
The deputy supervisor of the town indicated she's listening to Ms. Jacobs.
And you can't comment. So I'm saying, I would also throw in here that it's taxation without representation. Every time I write a check to pay my taxes, it really pisses me off because I get no representation. And like I said, this is socioeconomic racism to the core, discrimination, disenfranchisement, blatant discrimination. And we will fight it. And I really hope that this goes to the courts. I'm sorry that our taxpayers, we would have to pay for that, but I really hope it goes to the courts so they can shed a light nationwide on the racism that occurs in Nassau County.
Thank you so much. I don't have any other slips from anybody else to speak on item number 11. Is there anybody that did not sign in that has not spoken for, that would like to be heard? Please come on back to the mic there. Thank you. Good afternoon. Give your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, James B. Jacobs, 568 Ashford, Uniondale. I did put in the slip to speak, but I guess I did put a slip in. I guess honestly, being new, I was overlooked. It's okay. My concern is, as a Uniondale resident of 30 years, I know the decision's going to be made about these maps and everything else. And I noticed that, like my wife said so eloquently, but in her own terms, that the commercial part of Uniondale, which is be represented by Mr. Rutherford, hope I'm saying his name correctly, it'll be under our jurisdiction. But I noticed that Goolsbee had this, well, just a quick history lesson. I noticed when Goolsbee had to sue to be on this because the fight's still continuing and the struggle is real. It's just a mere fact that the commercial part of Uniondale, which is our corporate neighborhood, will not be helping us as those who south of Hempstead Turnpike. But I noticed that the thing that they've been pushing, which is probably at another meeting for the casino, is part of Goolsbee district, which I don't think is fair, but that's another story for another time. My concern is that, what it is that if this casino thing, sidetrack for a second, just to make a quick point. If this casino thing happening goes sideways and south, it's going to be a blemish against her. And she fought too hard and too long to get where she's at. And even though she's deputy supervisor, there's supposed to be more than just one Goolsbee up there, because by demographic and population, it's supposed to be 2. And I have nothing against Mr. Rutherford. I'm sorry from butchering your name. He seemed like a decent man. But I just hope the part of Uniondale that he have, that when corporate developers come here and want to be East Garden City, because that's where we know it's going to happen, that he will fight for it. Because I pray that when you do have this vote, and I know you will yield to the county also, that everything become public record. So when you run a re-election, when they say National Supervisor represent all of us in our interest, let that be the truism instead of a falsehood. And that's my particular concern. Because the town attorney stated, my understanding, that everything become part of public record. And as a resident over 30 years, I want to make sure that when you have your vote, either in secret, whatever kind of vote is cast for these maps, that everybody know how you voted and why. Because I think it's so unfair to put everything under Goosby's jurisdiction when it's supposed to be 2 versus the 1. Because that's not fair to her, that's not fair to us. Because that dilutes my vote, that dilutes my tax dollars for as a resident, and paying these town taxes and everything else. And that's what I just want fairness. You ain't got to love me, but damn, I want you to respect me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have it. Did you already testify?
No, not that big.
But, oh, okay.
Thank you.
Great. Good afternoon. Just give me a name and address for the record. Thank you.
Yeah, hi again. Heidi Saff, Most Regarded Civic Association, Uniondale. I have a question. The discussions, the descriptions of each district under the board's proposed redistricting plan, because I'm a person who likes facts, because the bottom line is the reality. It's not lies, it's not embellishment, it's not making up stories, which, as we all know, in Washington, D.C., one of our congressmen is really good at that. So let's stick to the facts. Okay, it says here, I'm quoting, it says, as discussed above, the board's plan accommodates public requests to keep Uniondale whole, as much as practicable, by only placing the remaining small portion of the community in District 2. My question is, what is in this remaining small portion? Can the lawyer tell me what's in this remaining small portion that you're proposing go into District 2?
3 election districts north of Hempstead Turnpike, but excluding the large area around the Coliseum. And if you were at the other hearings, you know that, especially at the last 2 hearings, that a number of people indicated that they wanted that to be in District 1. Didn't have much of a population, so in order to reflect the comments of the people who came to the hearings, the map maker decided that that was a right move to make.
Okay, so this remaining small portion, that you're taking away, does that include the Nassau Hub?
The hub is around the Coliseum.
Yeah, I know, but
that's in Deputy Supervisor's Goosby's district at this point.
The entire Nassau Hub, you're saying, is in...
I think that
I'm trying to get the facts.
The facts are it's a significant portion. I don't have the meets and bounds description in front of me right now, but a majority of it is, if not all of it is.
Yeah, you see, if you say the majority, if not all, in all honesty and respectfully, you're not, you're being vague. So that's what I'm just trying to get down to knowing this area you're taking away. So
well, it's a question that you'll have an answer for at the next meeting on the 14th.
Okay, so then you don't know the answer to the question. Because I just want to say, that entire area, including, the area where the Marriott is, the area, where the hub is, the area where the casino is, and if the truth be told, and I'm sorry if you don't want to hear this, if the truth be told, the museum hub also is in Uniondale, that's part of Mitchell Field. So we really would like you to do the right thing and keep Uniondale whole. There's been a big fight about this for many, many years, and it's a long time coming that you do the right thing. So what I would like to say is, we have to be honest, we have to be straightforward, you have to give the facts, because we have too much dishonesty in government now, and the people are losing their trust completely when you have a fraud representing a good part of Nassau County. As you all agree, I heard you speak about it, Supervisor Clavin, in the press conference. Got to be very careful not to repeat that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't have any other slips of anybody who's not testified and you'd like to be heard. If you come on up to the mic. Yeah, no, I was actually signifying to him to come on up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. If you give me that name and address for the record. Thank you. Oh, hold on. I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
David Thomas, Uniondale. I wasn't given an opportunity to express all I felt the last time.
But Mr. Thomas, did you testify before on this?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Thomas, everybody gets 3 minutes. That's what I said. Anybody who hasn't testified before. So respectfully, is there anybody? You've been allowed the 3 minutes. Is there anybody else who did testify that did not sign that wants to be heard?
I was told that I could come up again.
No, Mr. Thomas, I don't know who told you that, but it's just not the case.
But I have a question.
No, Mr. Thomas, like I said, we've allotted everybody
answer questions.
the 3 minutes. We have to be in compliance. So like I said, I don't know who would misinform you of that. That's just not the case.
So we must be
So with that, is there anybody else that did not testify?
We'd be contented for you taking away our time.
Mr. Thomas, nobody is. Is there anybody else that did not sign in that would like to testify and hasn't testified previously? Great, thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas, respectfully, you had your opportunity. Thank you very much. If not, may I please have a motion?
You know, reserve it to next time. There's no motion. Continue on February 14th.
I move the motion, I move the public hearing be continued to February 14, 2023 at 7 p.m. here in the Village Pavilion of Hempstead Town.
Second the motion.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Goofy.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller. Aye. Councilman Muscarelli.
Aye. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
On the decision calendar, resolution classifying the application of PGD Baldwin Commons LLC, care of Park Road Development LLC, as an unlisted action, declaring lead agency and issuing a negative declaration under secret.
Do I have a motion for item number 12 on the calendar?
I will, before I make the motion, I just want to say this is the second project of the DRI initiative that has come before this town board. And right when the application was ready, we sat down with developers and we moved the process along as fast as we could. And I'm proud to say that I move that we adopt the item.
Second the motion.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Goofy.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller. Aye. Councilman Muscarelli.
Aye. Madam Clerk, will please call the next item on the decision calendar?
The next decision is the application of PGD Baldwin Commons LLC, care of Park Road Development LLC, in the Baldwin Mixed-Use Zoning Overlay District.
I move the item be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Goofy.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller. Aye. Councilman Muscarelli.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the administrative calendar.
Excuse me, there was a note on that one. There was somebody who was going to speak on that.
Mrs. Maltano, you've come in here a number of times. That was on the decision calendar. We already had the hearing on it. That was the decision calendar. We already approved it. You might not remember. You might have come to the hearing. We did. I think we did the hearing like 3 weeks ago. But that was on the decision calendar. The hearing had been closed for a number of weeks.
Then why didn't they tell me I couldn't speak on it?
I didn't. Next, may I have a motion on the administrative calendar?
I move the administrative calendar 14 through 17.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
On that, I have a number of speakers on the administrative calendar. We'll start with Emil Varane. Good afternoon. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Weather's really good outside. I have a couple questions on a couple resolutions. I think the IT department will need to be here. So I have a question on 37, 38, 41, and 48. So starting with 37, as I understand it, the original contract was for $260,000 a year for office, and now it's going to $320,000. I was wondering what's the big increase?
Okay, let's see if my Commissioner of IT is here right now.
Yeah, Supervisor, I had allowed some of the commissioners to come later because we had the other.
Okay, so why don't we, you want to give it like a 5-minute adjournment until he gets back, or what do you think?
I believe this item is on what they call a break and fix contract.
Can't hear you.
So if I can go up to the mic.
Sorry. I believe this item, I believe this item is on a break and fix, what they call a break and fix contract, which means they have an outside consultant who comes in when we have certain software glitches.
Hold on, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to make it much easier. Artie Prim, Artie, come on up there and, I know. This gentleman had a couple of questions on, I think it was 37, 38, 39, if you just identify yourself. And then,
Commissioner of Information and Technology.
So
turn it on for you. Yeah, they like it.
the question was, is that the original contract was for $260,000, and now the cost is going to $320,000. Could you just explain the increase?
Yeah, that's not going to 320. It's not to exceed $320,000. The problem is, as we grow, more users are, coming into the town, and we have to, it's $206 a license, $27 a license. If we get 40 licenses, the number goes up. So that's.
Wait, the licenses are for Office software, though.
It's for Office 365.
Right, for Office 365, but I'm confused. So is Office charging you per person you're printing the license for?
Microsoft is charging per person, yes.
Okay. And aren't the employees the one that are using that?
Yes.
Okay, so you're growing the amount of employees that are using it, basically?
Yes.
And is there any alternative software that you could use, or is Office the only one that you can use? Because it does include the whole Office suite. You might not use all the apps, or maybe that's what's one of them.
Yeah, we're not taking the G5 product. We're taking the G3 product, which is cheaper than the G5.
Okay.
So we're not going all out. We're trying to limit as much as we can.
Okay. Going on to 38, so this will be for your expertise again. So this is old hardware being depreciated. I mean, this is a minor thing, but when I go to school districts meetings, so like in Hewlett, Woodmere, or even Lawrence, when I used to go to those, they used to list what computers were being depreciated. So I see under this resolution there's a schedule for that, but we can't see what schedule that is. Is there any reason why it's not on the website?
I can't tell you that. I thought it was on the website. I have a list of it here I can show you, and I can put it on the website.
Okay.
After this meeting.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I mean, but I think in the future though it should be on the website. Just a minor thing. I have no problem with that.
Not a problem.
Resolution 41 concerns advertising via the radio. So there are 4 zeros before the comma. So is that 30,000 or 300,000? Is that a typo?
Would you identify yourself, Mr. Bloor?
Craig Lower, Director of Communications. It's 30,000.
Okay, got it. And wait, hold on. Just, is there a reason why we're using the radio to advertise? Is that the most efficient way?
Well, it's one of the ways. We use the radio, we use the mail, we use any media we can to get the messages out.
Okay, and what kind of messages are these?
Well, we use it for the CARES Act, we use it for Narcan, we use it for senior ID programs. It's all public information service.
Okay, got it. And Resolution 48 concerns the hiring of consultants. So I have no issue with the consulting firm. I'm just curious, what projects would they be used for?
Commissioner, if you could identify yourself, thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor Gerald Marino, Commissioner, Department of General Services. Walden Environmental Engineers is a firm that we use for environmental reasons, asbestos removal, air monitoring in certain situations, fuel tanks that are underground, things of that nature.
Okay, but are there any specific projects that they use for? Is this on a daily basis?
Well, this is a resolution where we're asking the town board to increase the available funds in the event that we need them. So there are no set projects, but these are things that would come from time to time that are townwide. If there's an asbestos issue, which could happen anywhere at any time, we would need the funds available so they can come that day and not have to wait for the next meeting. It's just available funds. It's not anything that's used, and we didn't ask the taxpayers for it yet. It's just the town board is allowing us to increase the funds.
But isn't this unbudgeted? Shouldn't this be like budgeted though? Like, set towards the budget? Is this the budget?
When we do asbestos removal air monitoring, that's budgeted. Those have dollar figures that come on the budget every year. But to hire an engineer, you don't know how many times you would use them, so it's not. It's also, there is a line item for each item that they do. For each expert that comes, they have many engineers there, and everyone has their own specific hourly or job rate.
Got it. I appreciate all the commissioners coming up for their answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I got Felix Percacci. Good afternoon, Mr. Percacci. If you give me your name and address for the record.
Felix Percacci, Franklin Square. On items 28 through 31, the continued hiring of freelance photographers, we don't need this. In your village of Garden City, when there's an event or something, the village clerk, the village administrator pulls out their phone, takes a picture, somebody gets promoted, someone's retiring. We don't need to have professional photographers just so you could advertise for free on the taxpayer's dime. On item number 37, does the town clerk's office have access to the Office 365 licenses?
The answer to that be yes? Yes.
Okay, so now I could recommend, I've been asking for many years, why don't you type up the details of the town resolutions using Office 365, export it to Word, so you could stop wasting time OCRing it and scanning this stuff in. It looks like garbage, the details. Just type it into a word processor. Technology's been around for over 30 years. I don't know why you do it with a typewriter, but that's what it looks like you're doing. Also, on item number 41, the proposal, was this proposal posted on the town's website? 41 and 42, were these agreements posted on the town's website? Because I couldn't find them.
Organic Director of Communications, they should have been on there. If not, we can get them to you.
The details? Because I looked several times, I couldn't see them. Because even like from the last meeting, there were three resolutions with the details, and the town attorney said he was going to get them to me. I sent him an email after a few days and asked him for it, and he still didn't get them to me, and then I foiled them. And that's unnecessary, because by law, they should be up there 24 hours prior to the meeting. Otherwise, you're in violation. So
that's correct. They should have been up there. We can get them to you.
Okay. I don't want to litigate anything, but the thing is, if you keep on violating the law, there's really no choice for residents. Thank you. Just please do that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your country. Ms. Meredith? No? All right. Next I have Michael Torrey.
No.
No?
Happy day.
Okay, good.
Mr. Torrey.
Next, I don't have any other slips on the administrative calendar. Does anybody want to be heard that hasn't signed in? If not, may I have a motion on the administrative calendar?
I move the administrative calendar in its entirety.
Can I get a second?
Second. Supervisor Clavin?
I will move the administrative calendar with the exception of item number 47, which I will recuse myself.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Guzzi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarelli?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please look for a motion to adjourn? If I can get it from anybody. Can I get a second on that?
Supervisor Clavin?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Deputy
Now that the formal town board meeting has been adjourned, the town board will remain to listen to the comments of residents. I have a couple of residents who have signed in here. We can start off with Mr. Green.
You.
Neil Verani, Valley Stream. I just wanted to address the recent mailer that went out about Governor Hochul's plan to address affordable housing. And I specifically want to go through your petition, and I want to say I think we should work with our elected officials to achieve a better quality of life, but I don't think this is the way to do so. And I just want to go through the petition. So, you have a smokestack or a factory or whatever picture that is. Nowhere in the governor's plan was that mentioned, and you also mentioned in the petition that it does not plan to upgrade infrastructure, but she has proposed $250 million for infrastructure upgrades and improvements to support local housing growth and development, and $20 million for planning and technical assistance to support local rezoning efforts and other solutions to drive growth. But Mr. Supervisor, what I found most hilarious about this petition is the opposition to transit-oriented development. And what you fail to tell people is that you associate with the same politicians who support overdevelopment. You and Councilwoman Miller walked into the 5 towns and said, we will keep this the crown jewel of Long Island. But back in 2019, Councilman Bruce Blakeman, right here by the Lawrence train station, proposed rezoning the area behind it. And not only that, but your friend Jack Martins championed transit-oriented development on his law practices website, where he brags about easily building hundreds of apartment buildings in Mineola. And lastly, another example of you supporting an overdevelopment politician was your sister, village trustee Virginia Higgins, and Mayor Fair, who stood with you at the press conference. People like you, your sister, and the mayor who built so-called affordable housing and transit-oriented development put it right in our backyard. And when people stood up against people like your sister and the mayor, they turned around and then just approved the projects anyway. So, Supervisor Clayton, I want to ask you this. Is this the kind of development that you want to build in our backyard, right here? Is this what you want to build? Because you said in the petition you're opposed to this kind of development, and yet this is what Valley Streamers have been having to deal with. And you say nothing about this, but when Hochul does it, you're going all crazy about it. So I hope that you'll take a stand against overdevelopment, whether it's Democrat or Republican, in any instance, whether it be a village or a town, because that's what our community cares about, is making sure that we don't have overdevelopment, regardless of what party or what municipality is doing that. And I hope that that will be accounted for in this effort that you have against the governor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for supporting the local districting. As everybody knows in the audience, the governor's proposal that you didn't talk to anybody about would create thousands of units, and I know you threw out the number $250 million. It was funny, last week I was with Ed Romaine out in Suffolk County, and Ed Romaine was pointing out that $250 million probably wouldn't even fund the sewers just for Brookhaven if this housing went through. So we have a lot of concerns, and I'm glad that people are concerned. And you know what, I can't speak for Missy and I in legislation that occurred prior to us, but you know what, we appreciate the input. Next I have John in defense. Okay. Next I have Felix Bertocci. Hello again, if you give me a name now.
Felix Bertocci. It is important that government officials provide accurate and comprehensive information to their constituents. Recently, our governor proposed a strategy for addressing the housing shortage in New York. In response to this proposal, Supervisor Clayton started an online petition opposing it. The petition says, Governor Kathy Hochul announced a proposal to create high-density housing zones around every Long Island train station, while also stripping local towns and villages and thereby the residents of their ability to control local zoning. And while the proposal speaks to creating high-density housing, it does not address upgrading the existing infrastructure to accommodate the population increase. In the governor's proposal on her webpage, it says in pertinent parts, under the compact, localities will decide how to best meet their new home construction targets. The New York Housing Compact will make available a $250 million infrastructure fund and a $20 million planning fund to support new housing production statewide. And localities that do not meet targets can achieve safe harbor status for 1 3-year cycle by implementing certain good faith actions or preferred actions that create zoning capacity to achieve growth targets. And municipalities that fall short of these targets can still take good faith preferred actions to spur development for another 3-year cycle in which the fast track approval process will not apply. In municipalities where there is no market demand for new housing, there will be no practical effect if localities fall short of their targets. And the state will continue to exercise crucial safeguards and prevent environmental harm and ensure that public health remains a top priority. It is always a good idea to be skeptical about what any politician says, whether you agree with them or not. Instead of addressing the governor's proposal point by point, Cleveland chooses to intentionally mislead people. It would be very easy for Cleveland to provide a link to the governor's proposal in his petition so residents can make up their minds based on the actual text of the governor's proposal and address each aspect of the governor's proposal. But instead, Cleveland provides a cartoon-like picture showing a chimney belching black smoke behind a single-family house surrounded by apartment buildings. Clearly, this is not the governor's intent, although Cleveland would like residents to believe this. Once again, Cleveland is using government funds to mislead residents for his own political gain. Cleveland often forgets that his job is town supervisor, not chief propaganda minister. Residents should go to the governor's webpage and read the governor's proposal to get the facts, and based on these facts, decide whether they support all, part, or none of the governor's initiative. Cleveland and his petition is a joke and should not be taken seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDowell. Yours is a pleasure. Greg Stenales? If you give me, good afternoon, if you give me a name and address of the record, thank you.
It's Gregory K. Stanislaus, pastor of the St. John Baptist Church in Inwood, Long Island, on the corner of 4 Henry Street and Baygate. About a quarter of a mile from the church where most of the membership actually goes for support and help in the communities, 5 Towns Community Center. And just recently, we had a town hall meeting in the church with the community to discuss the issue that the lease is up in June of 2024, and we're concerned that it will not be renewed. Now, RFP was put out in January, just early this month, January 3rd, with a $5 million stipulation to it. Anyone sending forth a proposal had to come to the table with $5 million. Now, the narrative that's out there is that this group that has the lease now is not doing their job of being responsible, which nothing could be further from the truth. The truth of the problem is that the county was responsible for the upkeep of the building all these years, but no upkeep was done. And so you have the roof leaking, you have the heat problem, you have all these things, buildings falling down. But the lease, their job was to simply maintain the grants, maintain the service to the community, and that's what they did. There's a stipulation in the lease saying that they cannot raise funds, and so they weren't able to raise funds. This is a place that's been in existence since for 116 years, and so now it's time to renew the lease. But without $5 million, they're pretty much taken out of the running, so to speak. Now, it's almost like telling someone, if I use a metaphor, we want you to make bricks, but we will not give you the straw to make it, so go out and find it. So without the resources, how can they do? And so if you can't do, then we're going to punish you for not doing. So here it comes, we have people are up in arms. Why? Because 80% of the community benefiting from the 5 Towns Community Center all of these years. The concern is that the people who are walking through the community center now are those, just a couple of us, the JCC, we know that they are capable of the community chest, and also the large school boards interested in getting the property. In addition to that, you have a private developer. Our concern is simply this: with these people taking over, if indeed they do, if the lease is not extended or renewed, then what is the guarantee that people in the community, 80% of the people in the community, will be served as they have been served? These are probably the most vulnerable people. And so I'm really concerned about that, but there's no way to have an audience with Lakeman, which is not totally his fault, is that the last administration also didn't take care of the business of it. So the concern is, where do we go from here? Do we hire the attorney? Do we have what's called an Inwood sit in whatever we need to do, but the voices need to be heard, and this can't continue. It's a taking of the property. Where are the people supposed to go?
Now, I'm correct, I think the Five Towns Community Center is a county run, so I guess they did the RFP. Again, I would urge you to community county executive or your local legislator in the area.
But aren't you over Inwood? Somebody?
No, yeah, but that's a Nassau County facility. We have no control over it. We have nothing to do with an RFP in the whole facility. It isn't our venue, it isn't our control. You have to go to the county.
It makes sense. Well, I'm going to ask if you could do something because no one takes my call. Maybe you know Blakeman. Maybe you can call him and tell him to look into the situation because we want to keep it peaceful.
I'll be happy to relay a message to the county executive.
I can let you know that I have reached out. I have voiced my concerns to the county executive, and he has also stipulated that the RFP, which is public, they can view it, lists exactly the protections that he feels are in place to anybody interested in coming into that property, which include keeping the Head Start, all the services, the youth services that are currently there, would need to continue there. So it isn't that he's, looking to bring somebody in to boot everybody out. But again, as the supervisor said, unfortunately, we have nothing to do with that lease. We have nothing to do with the renewal of that lease. We can merely, and I always do, advocate for the good that that community center does in that community.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Elise Thomas? Elise Thomas, get us in if you give me your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Eloise Thomas. In July of 2007, I actually spoke at a town hall in relationship to the Five Towns Community Center, and I have my speech that I had prepared then, so I'm going to kind of redact it and speak from it. So July 10, 2023 will be 116 years of commitment to provide vital service for all residents of the Five Towns and areas beyond this border. As a resident of Inwood and as a shareholder of the community center, I'm here to make one simple request: vote no on the RFP. I do not allow any notion that will allow Nassau County Bruce Blakeman to list the Five Towns Community Center building and its property for sale to a third-party entity. Return the building and its property to the ownership of the Board of Trustees and its community. The services that this institution continues to provide to its residents cannot be measured in dollars and cents. This is a way of life. It is a stepping stone in many individuals as well as their family and personal, professional, and social lives for generations. For me, this organization was a bridge to the cultural diversity I faced when I immigrated to the United States of America more than 40 years ago. The community center is the air. It is necessary for the survival of its many residents who utilize the services and continue to do so. Finally, I ask you to remember the future. Just as Margaret Olivia Sage, the wife of Russell Sage, who donated the land and the money and the original building at the request of Sylvia Lord, the individual who had the vision to request of Upper Sage this gift to our community more than 116 years ago. For remembering us today, let our children remember, be thankful to us today for remembering them in 2021 with 7. Please stop the RFP. This was a gift to our community. It is vital for our survival. We can reimagine our future coming out of a pandemic. Margaret Sage donated this building prior to the Depression.
We've talked, once again, as I said to the past reform, the RFP is being done by Nassau County. We're not have anything to do with it. I don't know who the legislators are down there, but I would definitely say you need to reach out to the legislators. I am going to follow up and do a communication out to the county executive to ask them to meet with you so you could express your concerns to them. But again, we don't have anything to do with the RFP. I don't know anything about what the RFP is, but I'm happy to try and facilitate something for you with the county executive. We appreciate you coming down. In fact, I'll tell you right now, Carol, the deputy supervisor is going to have a staff member to get you relevant information so we can follow up with it. Fair enough?
Fair.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Next I have Pearl Jacob. Good afternoon. Can you give me an address for the record? Thanks.
Pearl Jacobs, underserved community. Okay, so I did receive an email from one of my residents, and she says, Pearl, I'm out of the country, so I won't be able to attend the meeting, but I have an issue. I'm sure you have seen all the Optimum vehicles with mostly Jersey plates putting wiring all over the place. I was informed on January 26th by the guy coming to mark my gas meter and pipes that they are Optimum. They're going to be laying cables in the street. Why would the town of Hempstead wait 40 plus years to finally repave Compass Street and surrounding neighborhoods? Now, less than a year later, they're allowed to dig them up. Are they going to repave it again immediately after you get the idea? So I'm going to hold this and maybe speak with somebody who's... Please stop my clock.
Ms. James, you get 3 minutes. We'll be happy to take the letter and reach out to the constituent. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just bringing that to your attention. Is there anyone I can speak with here today?
At the end of the meeting, we're going to take that address from you right when you're all done.
Okay, so regarding environmental issues, I know this casino coming proposed. The town of Hempstead is responsible for zoning. They're responsible for taking care of environmental reports and issues. I do want to speak about environmental issues that are affecting Unionville, primarily our water. So you're going to have a lot of environmental issues to deal with, especially Unionville. You're considering putting a casino there, and our water is tainted. January 30th, my water was this color, copper red, like red-brown, okay? I called the contact in town of Hempstead. He was very responsive. He took care of, he had someone send it out, and they opened my meters, the fire hydrant. It was flushed for over an hour until it started running clear. I received a call this morning from a resident, and he's still having issues with his water. In fact, he actually took his water, and he's having a private company analyze the water. And he also called me, and he's recovering from kidney cancer, and he just told me that his neighbor next door was just diagnosed with prostate cancer. So I'm just letting you know, putting on record, that we have a really, really concerning water issue in Uniondale. So you need to put that number one on your environmental review. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot to follow. And to consider to put a casino in Uniondale when we can't even get clean water, it's going to put another burden on our environment. You need to rethink that, but I would definitely be bringing you back on issues that we are experiencing in Uniondale. And I have copies if you want them, one for Councilwoman Gooseby and one for you, Supervisor Clavin. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks, Mr. Jacob. James Jacob? Hey, Mr. Jacobs, if you give me an address for the record, thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor, Mr. Clavin. But for the record, Mr. Clavin, there's one named James Jacobs in Uniondale. That's why I used to, lift your B, but since you wanted to call me James Jacobs, that's what I was talking about respect.
Mr. Jacobs,
it's okay, sir.
It says James Jacob. I'm only reading what it says.
She probably put the B there, but if you want to blame somebody else, it's all good.
Okay, like I said, I'm just reading what it says.
It's okay.
No, we're good.
It's okay.
Okay.
I just want to have a little conversation with the town attorney. Do you know when you're going to have to vote for the casino? Because I was at, I think, Hofstra, and they explained everything falls onto the town for the decisions of environmental impact, who's going to approve it. And I would love to know if that's going to become public. I would love to know if it's going to become part of public record. Because this way, I go to vote next year in November or this year in November. I don't know who's for me and who's against me for my quality of life and how much taxes I pay living in Uniondale. Because the presentation was excellent, they had excellent people there. They had a lot of union people there saying, build it, which is okay. But see, most of the people that want to build don't live here. They have to deal with the traffic here, they don't have to deal with the noise from pollution, like with the service station person. I hope they do come, that they be good environmental neighbors. But saying that, said, hopefully that when they do the assessment, because it said everything falls into the town, and there'll be supervisor also, and being that there's only one person of color there representing me, so I feel that there should be more, but just sharing a thought that hopefully it all becomes part of public record, how they voted, why they voted. That Mr. Massarella, he has District 2. Even though he has a part that says Uniondale, when you Google where Mr. Massarella represents, it doesn't say Uniondale, especially in that side of the town going eastward. Just sharing a thought. So my whole thing is that hopefully when you do make the decision, everything becomes part of public record. So when we go to vote in November, we can see really for all of us, or just a select few in certain areas and zip codes. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Jacobs. Ms. Meredith? No? Okay. Daniel Crasciolo? Afternoon. Could you name and address for the record? Thank you.
Sure. Dan Carciolo, 8 Williamson Street, East Rockaway. My pronouns are he, him. I have a couple questions regarding, actually, I wanted to make a comment about, I know it's not the calendar for it, but the folks that were here regarding the Uniondale proposal for the gas station, they had stated that there are 3 full-time employees, 24 hours a day, that's 56 hours a day, a week rather. I just wanted the town board or Mr. Supervisor Clayton to acknowledge that those parking didn't add up to me. That was kind of just a statement there. If you're gonna have 3 people working 56 hours a week and just one person, didn't make much sense. But I wanted to kind of put something into perspective too. When we're thinking about everything that's going on in the town, I very rarely see a bird's eye approach and kind of a holistic kind of plan as it relates to everything that's going on in the town. When I ran for school board in East Rockaway, one of the things I proposed was a 2050 plan. And that's something that I think the town should take into consideration and start to plan exactly what our town will look like in 2050. And start to make adjustments based on our codes, based on the things that are changing, and really kind of take a hard look at what we all want to look like in this town in the next 20, 30, 40 years. The reason why that's important, as we think about sustainability, and we think about development, we think about housing, we think about having a casino on top of basically where all of our colleges are, and yet we're opposing housing based on the state's kind of newest guidelines. We opposed ADUs from last year to help people supplement their taxes that we do pay in this great community of ours. There isn't a plan, and there isn't a holistic approach to exactly how the town wants to look. I would urge the town to start to create more planning as it relates to forward thinking, as it relates to the way things are going to be in 2050 and beyond. Because if we still just manage the day-to-day, the 6 months, the moratoriums, we push things off, we're not going to grow as a town, and we're going to, despite the fact that we're growing, as the IT commissioner indicated, we're growing population, we're growing people here working for the town, we really need to look holistically and kind of understand what we're up against over the next 35, 40, 50 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And maybe you're not aware of it, actually, this year alone we've approached, and today I think Councilman Carini acknowledged we actually approved workforce housing in Baldwin, and we approved about 221 units of housing in Baldwin, so I don't was thinking that, I'm sure you mistakenly said we opposed housing. And the other thing is, perhaps you weren't aware that last year the town unified in coming up with the 2045 initiative for energy and workforce vehicles going for the alternative for green energy. I'm sure it was an oversight, so I'm glad to fill you up on that. Next I have Mrs. Priestman. Hi, Mrs. Priester, good afternoon. If you could just give your name and address when you get up there.
Good afternoon. My name is Mrs. Priester, Uniondale, and I'm directing this comment directly at Town Supervisor, Mr. Don Clayton. I happen to be looking at my computer meeting that you had on the 10th of January, and my son-in-law, James Jacobs, he was addressing you, and he's a very polite young man. I've known him for 46 years. Now, he addressed something to you, and you're looking at different places and things, and then he said, oh, nobody's listening to you, but somebody there should have prompted themselves to listen to him. It's due respect to the community. Another remark you made about you pay taxes, we all pay taxes. I've been working for 68 years, since I was 16 years old. I just retired in June of 22. Now, we all pay taxes, and we all pay taxes with respect, and you pay taxes, but we also pay taxes for everybody that's sitting up there and everybody in this audience. And I thank you, and you have a good day.
Thanks, Ms. Priester. Thanks for coming. You have a great one, too. Next, I got Chris Jacobs. Good afternoon. If you just give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Yes, Chris Jacobs, Uniondale, New York. I spoke very early on item 11, so I didn't get a chance to hear a lot of what was said after I spoke, but I just want to clarify a couple of things. I heard the town attorney say, but he separated District 1 and 2 based on 3 electoral districts, and basically I surmise that those housing complexes they built north of Hempstead Turnpike, like Avalon Bay and Meadowbrook Point, and those people there, I see it pandering because of the fact that they were told they lived in Garden City, they were told you're a Garden City resident, but actually they were changed because they had to be incorporated with the Uniondale School District. Now I know because when I go to vote and they come there, they roll their eyes and look at me like I can't believe I have to do this, but that's not my problem, that's their problem. But I'm saying that the way the map is drawn is that the fact that it should be separated based on their needs and wants and pandering to them. They chose to live there, but it comes with it. It's Uniondale anyway. They should have known that. Garden City's way over there. It says welcome to Garden City, the village, way down like 2 miles away. So that's not my fault that they were told they lived in Garden City and everything like that, but they're zoned and everything for Uniondale. So the map shouldn't be separated based on what's in it for them. Another troubling thing I heard is that when Councilman Guzman was asked how she felt about the map, which is blatantly, in my opinion, and many other opinions, blatantly a racist map, and it shows a lot of disparity and segregation on it, she had no comment. And that's trouble because of all times to say that it's Black History Month. And I know she goes around, she sends out mails, she talks about how she's an icon for civil rights. That's before my time because I haven't seen her do much since I've been involved with the school and stuff like that. But it's Black History Month and I think she should speak up and have an opinion on that, but that's okay. But happy Black History Month to you, Councilwoman Goodman.
Thanks, Mr. Jacobs. We'll take a 10-minute recess if everybody doesn't mind. So
Be mind.
we'll start up at 1:45.
How many more speakers can there be? Can we just finish it up?
10-minute meeting, it's okay.
Can we finish it up?
No, Mr. McCutcheon, I'm sorry, personal emergency. I'm sorry to bother you. If you don't let
Bother me? You're not bothering me. You're bothering all of us.
Apparently it is, Mr. McCutcheon. If my child's calling this emergency, I'm sorry.
You can leave and the rest could stay.
Were you running from us or something? No, I'm calling my daughter back who had an emergency. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. My daughter had an emergency at school. I'm very, very sorry. I'm sorry to inconvenience Mr. McCutcheon. My apologies.
You all have to leave for him.
It's 1:45. We'll start up. I apologize to Mr. McCutcheon. Inconveniencing you.
Shut up.
Excuse me, Mr. McCutcheon. Not very nice.
Shut up.
Nadine Timmon. Nadine. Okay. Michael Torrey.
You're up.
Left. Okay. Jonathan Provost. David Thomas. Hey, Mr. Thomas, you can give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
David Thomas, Uniondale, and I do hope your daughter is well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm here because I think I missed the meeting that was held about the casino being built in Uniondale. I'm not sure what the outcome was or will be, but I'm hoping I'm against that kind of stuff, and I hope that you guys represent us, that you also will be against. I was informed that some of you cannot discuss anything about the casino, but I think you need to hear how we feel. The casino is not a good idea. You're taking away most of our tax base, and you're giving us a casino, a gamble. You're giving us an opportunity to be able to create incidences whereby we don't know for sure. You made promises that the casino is going to give 5,000 permanent jobs, 12,000 construction jobs, and all the rest of it. But what you didn't say is that the casino is not, they have its drawbacks. The drawbacks can be crime, it can be traffic, it can be a few negative things. But one of the things I would suggest, however, is that we can use that space for a better project. This country is very short of nurses. The school that supported it, Nassau Community College, can expand its nursing programs so that we can have more and more nurses. Right? We can have more a research project that can go there. The world's having issues, and we can find solutions to that issue. By having great research, we can create better jobs. We can do better things with that space. I have had the privilege of visiting lots of casinos because I do go and play a little sometimes here and there. And I look at the community in which they're built. The surrounding community is not developed like has been promised. Who will get the $100 million a year that comes out of this casino project? What would be the benefit to Uniondale? You guys took away almost all of the commercial property area of Uniondale and want to give us a casino. How smart is that? Please, reconsider that idea, come to the community and let the community tell you or give you ideas as to what can be used in that space. Thank you.
Yeah, just so you know, I guess you have to direct it to Nassau County because we've never had a presentation for anything, and they are the leaseholders on the property. Am I correct, Jack?
The county owns the property, and they would have to first approve the casino operators coming in there. At some point down the road after that, it would come to the board, but nothing has been presented to us.
Yeah. But thank you very much. Next I have Peter Tanzarino. Good afternoon. If you give me your name and address, that'd be great.
Thank you for hearing me. Peter Panzarino, 70 Bismarck Avenue, Valley Stream, New York. Okay. Recently, I've received a notice. It's a notice that I got a citation, and I've never seen the first notice. This is an overdue notice. It says, and it gives a website, and it also gives a citation number along with my plate number, and it has a video. I viewed the video, and the video I'm already past where I could see the warning, view the warning. I went to the traffic court, and the traffic court said, "Oh, we don't do that here." And I said, "Well, where do I go?" They said, "We don't know." They said you could go over there and pay it, and they must have said pay it like 5 times, but I just believe that I'm honest. If it was a school bus, I would definitely stop. I think it's a great law. I think it's a great program. I'd like for somebody to look at this video here. I've contacted Ms. Miller's office, Councilwoman Miller's office, and they were going to look into it. Maybe she hasn't had a chance to complete it, or maybe she can speak up. But there is no place to adjudicate this.
Mr. Panzarino, as you know, we just rolled this program out. Your tickets, if you plead not guilty, will be adjudicated at the Nassau County Traffic Court over on Axon Avenue, the old DMV. You have the absolute right to plead not guilty, and you'll get a trial there. The other thing I will tell you is that it's been a concern of the supervisor is some people have commented that they didn't get the first notice. Now, we don't, bus patrol sends out the notices, so I think the supervisor has requested that with regard to the late fees that they be waived. But you have the absolute right to have your ticket adjudicated in Nassau County. I will tell you that you did complain to the town about this, and we've reviewed your ticket, and quite frankly, I don't know if you'd be so successful at your trial. What's even more disturbing is that it's right in front of a school.
I remember that day very clearly. When I get on that road, okay, and I work part-time at Nassau County in the assessment department, and when I get on that road, I move over to the left because cars go slower in the left so that I don't have, you know, cars up right behind me over there. Because sometimes there are police there, but it's also a school, and we should slow down when we see, you know, that we're in a school zone. I don't know if I agree with you about the, you know, where I am at the time, and in fact...
No reason to discuss it now. After the meeting, I'll be more than happy to show you the pictures that I have from the incident, and by all means, you're absolutely allowed to adjudicate it at the Nassau County Traffic Court. And if you do decide to do that, I would hope that you would let us know, because if your perception of this is correct, then we might have to reevaluate what's going on, but I don't think that'll be the case. But I'd love to have the answer after you go and adjudicate it.
Okay, I'll just say that there are about 12 vendors who do this. And this alert bus is the only one where they have complaints, and it's the same complaint that I have, no place to adjudicate it. And so, you know, I don't know why that wasn't hooked up first, but I think you're telling me that it has been corrected now. Is that what I'm hearing, Counsel? Attorney?
Well, what I think I said is the corrections as far as the overdue fees. But, you know, TIFT is on board, so you can plead not guilty and you'll get your day in court, as they say.
Right. Is there somebody in Nassau County, excuse me, in the town of Hempstead that reviews this? Because there is a website, and it looks like the vendor put it up, /Hempstead, and it explains the program and how it's followed, and it says that it goes through, it's sent back here from the vendor, and there are two reviewers.
You can talk to the town attorney after. I'm sure I'd be happy to stick around and tell you, but I think he said that, you know, it goes up to the Traffic Violations Bureau if you feel like it was inaccurately assessed to you. All right, so we appreciate it, and John, stick around.
That's news, so thank you very much about that.
Okay.
I did great go there first.
All right, I don't have any other slips. Anybody who's not been heard that wishes to? Then everybody have an amazing day. Have a great one. Take care.
What was that?